Oh, and there's the ad. Yeah. Hey guys.
No problem. Sorry.
Oh, we had a little, oh, that's a little teaser for the ad you're going to see later. My chronic silver, you guys. We always talk about it every week, but you know what? It's not there yet. We're not there yet. This is just the top of the show, you guys. Welcome back on Friday to American Perspective with your host, me, Noél Roberts, Patriot Mom 007 here in Arizona. We have an amazing show today. I say that every week, but it's true. Okay, so this week is just no different. It's still true. Um, Although it's even more amazing because we've been in this cycle for a few weeks now of honoring, I will say again, our heroes. People are like, wow, you call them heroes. Do you use that word so much? Well, till somebody tells me there's a better word for it, that's the one I'm using because it seems to encompass the people I'm talking about, those who are still with us, those who are not, for the various wars we've been fighting for all these years and putting all our heroes at harm's risk, right? And I've been meeting some people. We were around town. We were in San Diego a couple of weeks ago. We had our Armed Forces Day. We had Memorial Weekend here in Arizona, a big 4-day event that I helped host. And now today, Friday, June 6th, is D-Day. Today is the 81st anniversary. So we're going to talk about that a little bit later. Beautiful day here in Arizona. I hope it is where you guys are too. I know one of my guests is coming to us from LA. It's not as sunny there, but he's in good spirits, so that'll be fun. And normally I like to do a couple news stories, but because this is kind of an intensive show on content and what I want to share about D-Day and some of our events that we've been going to, I'm going to skip the main news stories. I'm sure you've caught up already with the news cycles and everybody running the same stories 1,000 times the last 7 days. So I'm sure you know what's going on. But one thing I want to mention before we go into the show is there's one news story, okay? And it is about the Boulder, Colorado maniac who threw the Molotov cocktails the other day at people walking along the street. He's an Egyptian national, and he is obviously crazy. I mean, he hates people. He hates Jewish people. I think he hates people in general, if we really want to put a fine point on it. And he directed that craziness at Jewish people the other day. That's horrific. So many people, 15, got seriously injured. One was critical. I think they're going to pull through though. But it was, people up to age 88. So if they're getting third-degree burns or any burns really on their body, at that age, it's just so tragic that they're having to go through that because this person was allowed to roam free for so many years under the last administration. We hear this all the time, every day, really, in fact. And it looks like he was yelling free Palestine. I don't even really want to talk about that part. Like, we know that that's happening. And we know that there's people that think that them taking the lives of others or these grand terrorist actions are somehow going to advance what they're doing. And obviously that's not the case. I can only think of capital punishment. I know Pam Bondi is going to go after him. 118 counts is what they're saying. Hate crimes, all of that, acts of terrorism, the counterterrorism's involved with the FBI now. I know that they're probably looking at, I'm guessing, all the cells around the country, by the way, that have been forming for the last several years, probably the last 15 really, but really the last 4 under Biden. And if you don't think that there are terrorist cells in our country, then you need to Google it because you'll find all kinds of information about who's been coming here uninvited, and a lot of them are terrorists, and unfortunately, they all do work together. The criminals hang out together. So all I want to say about that is to acknowledge it happened. I want to say we're very sorry to all the families. It's a very sad thing to have happen when you've done nothing wrong and you're an innocent bystander, literally walking along the street in Colorado, of all places. So if it can happen there, it can happen anywhere, right? It's not 9/11. It doesn't have to be a big building anymore. I think they've got past that. So I hope everybody stays safe and just got to be aware all the time of your surroundings. If you're not now, use this as a resource to say, hey, I better really pay attention. If you see somebody with a flamethrower or a Molotov cocktail or a weapon of any kind, gun, knife, whatever, tire iron, do not go near them. I saw people on that video kind of running kind of in his area, and I don't mean to help the other people, but I mean just crossing over, go the other direction. You don't have to do anything heroic. I actually think you should not, most likely, in most cases, to put yourself at risk. There are professionals that are there to do that for you, right? That's who we always say thank you to, the law enforcement professionals and those in authority who have the right to carry the gun at all times, depending on what state you're in, and who know how to use it, 99.9% of the time properly and with intention and correctly, and they're there to save you. And so I just hope that everyone will heal through this, and the community in general. It's going to be very traumatic, I'm sure, just to be in public square, but you will get through it, and hopefully our intelligence agencies will be more on top of this and help prevent things like this from happening in the future. So we're going to move on from that. And today is June, right? But we just finished May, and that was Military Appreciation Month. We talked about it a lot, and it is a time to reflect on the other heroes, right? Law enforcement, fire, rescue, EMT, all of them. They save lives every single day. And they're not just sitting around the donut shop, I assure you. Not here in Arizona, anyway. I hear sirens all the time, all over town. So they're there to protect us. And same with our military. You just don't see them. You don't hear about them. You don't know where they are. We post them across the seas, right? In other strange lands and countries that they've never been, with people who hate them, sometimes want to kill them at all times. So they're pretty much ducking bullets and trying to go around the IEDs, the landmines. I mean, it's this crazy situation when you think about our military and what we put them in and ask them to do for us. And I don't think they make a lot of money. I'm pretty sure it's not a six-figure income. And I know that the benefits are not always as accessible as they obviously should be. So they're doing all of this for us all the time, not just on Military Appreciation Month either, not just the month of May. And so we want to always remember our heroes, our military, from the Armed Forces Day event that we went to in San Diego a few weeks ago on May 17th to just last weekend, May 26th, we had here in Phoenix, Arizona, my WritersUSA.net group that I sit on the board of. We have a large group of veterans in that organization. We do a lot of veteran-centric events. We hosted a 4-day event at our National Veterans Memorial Cemetery. It was amazing. As usual, we had a great turnout. We have such good support. We're going to have a video of that a little bit later. And then today, June 6th, we're going to remember the 81st anniversary of D-Day. We continue paying tribute to those who gave their lives to the service of others that they never met, strangers, and mostly to our country. So with that, we're going to start out with our Memorial Weekend synopsis video I put together. Hopefully you're going to enjoy it. It's kind of a late night endeavor. So we'll see how this goes. It's 3 minutes. So I'm going to just let Robert throw this on, and I'm going to enjoy it with you guys back, not on camera.
Blowing over our country, home of the brave. I need to feel you now, your soft caress. I need to feel you now. I must confess, I need you to wash away the fear from the street and recover the ground that's beneath our feet. I need you to dry tears that wet my cheek. Have those winds return.
Here's our Riders USA patch. I don't ride. So I'm not a rider. I'm not a vet. I'm a civilian, but they let me in, which was really great because I enjoy helping them a lot. Their mission's really good. We get to help veterans all through the year with different events and just go to them and visit with them and you know, do whatever we can in a small way to let them know that they're still really important. So I'm really grateful to be a part of Riders and on their board oh, are we still going, Robert? Oh, we are still going. Okay, cool. Yeah, no worries. This is going to have a lot of content and video in it, you guys, so I wasn't off screen. Poor Robert, making him totally jump through hoops. But we had all these bikers. They come out every year. It's our 19th annual. We used to have 500 bikes that would come out to the cemetery. We post up 500 flags. If you see the USA flags, excuse me, along the row back there. Then we have a giant flag. They bring it on the crane every year. We lift it in remembrance on Memorial Day in the morning before going into the cemetery. And the 500 flags stay up there all weekend. People donate a ribbon to each flag with the name of a fallen loved one they would like to give a tribute to or remember. And our guys post up all the flags, and then they go back and they hand tie all the ribbons on. 500 of them. We actually sold 200 for next year's 20th anniversary. Once the 500 ribbons are sold, like that's all we can do. You know, and flags for our fallen, you know, we're looking forward to the 20th annual next year. If you guys are in Arizona, Cave Creek and Pinnacle Peak Road, right there at the National Memorial Veterans Cemetery. There are not a lot of them around, from my understanding, around the country. So we're really lucky to have one here in town with us, and it's in my neighborhood, which is really nice. And my uncles are both actually buried there. So I do go there often, and a lot of friends actually have loved ones buried there as well. So that was our Memorial Day. I guess I'm going to be on screen with you guys. So we're going to go right into, this is May 17th, Armed Forces Day. You guys heard me talk about it when we came back from San Diego that next week. And it was quite a nice event. Robert from Chula Vista Live, he's my producer in the back, does all this graphic stuff for me as I make him jump through the hoops in real time. And he's laughing, I'm sure, quietly right now. And so we were out there. He shot the whole event. There was some live streaming going on. You may have checked it out on some of his. He has Arizona live data. You can find us there. He's got Chula Vista, San Diego, Washington live data. And it's JData17 on Facebook and X if you guys want to check out his channels. Really what he does is bring you live events from your hometown with a lot of reporters around the nation. And a lot of it is stuff that's happening in your cities. So you're going to want to check it out because it's police departments, it's education systems, the school boards, the utility boards, the board of supervisors, but he does live streaming. There's no edits, there's no cuts. So you can just really see what's happening firsthand. So with that, he's going to bring up our Combat Veterans for Congress Armed Forces Day event in San Diego. This is 4.5 minutes, you guys.
Senator Goldwater, my father, ran for president of the United States. And in any campaign, there's always all kinds of paraphernalia, campaign buttons, campaign stuff.
I'm recording.
And one of which was this little elephant. Came from a 1964 campaign.
Wow.
And there aren't too many of these left. So I want you to have this.
That's so special, Barry. Thank you so much. So you guys, this was just an unexpected, we're not live, but this is just an unexpected moment. Barry Goldwater Jr. is here with us at Town and Country this weekend for the Armed Services Day Gala hosted by Captain Joseph John, and he came over to speak with us tonight. He's our keynote speaker. And we were just talking and he brought up the pin, and so I just had to share this because that was just a beautiful thank you. We're here to honor everybody else and you guys, and so
okay.
Enough said. We're going to get an interview right now with Barry Goldwater Jr. from Arizona, our friend. Challenge coin, and the back it has the flag raising of Iwo Jima on it, and I could not be more honored, honestly, than I am tonight among men who did everything for us to be here today. Everyone should remember the most important people among us and what they have given in their lives and limbs to keep us safe and here in America and keep us alive. And they're doing it tonight all over the world. So don't forget, it's happening 24/7 on their watch for you and your family. What Captain Joseph John has done to rally those most capable of helping all of us who already served our country selflessly. So look out for Captain Joseph John, because I don't think he's done. This is Patriot Home 007, you guys, Town and Country Resort in San Diego, the Armed Services Day Gala, Combat Veterans for Congress.org, look them up today and try to help if you can, any way that you can. Thank those who deserve our most gratitude for keeping us alive.
Oh, see, I'm muted. Thank you, Robert. I'm so grateful I have him back there. I did get taken off screen because I don't want you to have to look at me. I want you to look at really what was happening. That video, kind of the whole night. I mean, I tried to really put a lot of into that video, and I know it was a little long, but it was a really beautiful night. Like, we had time to talk with people. The interviews aren't quite out yet. They will be soon. But we also had some time in the VIP room, which was really lovely. They let us come in there, and I didn't partake so much because I was working, but it was lovely nonetheless. And just meeting the people that were there were beautiful people. They were all so warm and welcoming to all of us. And then, of course, the ceremony itself was, you could see that with the flags and the stage. They were there to honor wounded warriors, our veterans that were there, and just pay tribute to them, as well as retired Navy Captain Joseph John, who hosted the event and has been the chairman with Combat Veterans for Congress PAC for years, passed on the torch actually to a new chairman. Was hoping to have him on today. Didn't get a chance to get him here, but hopefully we'll talk to him in the future, because we do want to see what they're going to be doing. Definitely, they've got a lot going on with Congress and trying to get the right people in, and they work towards getting our veterans in because they protected us, just because. So why not let them protect us inside the country as well and work to make that happen, right? So that's what they do. And then we just have a quick little picture, you guys, D-Day with Eisenhower and the troops. So this is the throwback, right? These wars are so long ago. I think people forget, you know, what these men went through. All wars are terrible wars, but these beginning wars, I mean, they didn't have the equipment, they didn't have the resources, they didn't have the support, they didn't have communications like we do now. They're on the field, they're in the mud, they're in the water. I mean, I don't know what kind of pack they had, if they could really, I mean, teeny tiny little packs, certainly not the ones they have now. And so I don't know how much stuff they have in there, but it must have been really, really hard. I just emphasize that because I just think people don't realize how difficult this is, this job being in the military. They're not all behind a desk, right? And we see the people that come back without legs and arms and are so harmed for a long time. It makes me very sad, actually, to think about that, because they do it really because they want to. And some people do it to get out of what they're in, and maybe they don't have a great life and they think military will straighten them out. Some people do it because they have a mission that they need to help other people. And ultimately, I think when people go in, no matter what their reason, they come out with an overall arching feeling and mission that they were there to help people that they didn't know. So, gosh, sorry. But it's really emotional, right? So it's the way it is. And then we have a couple guests on today. Let's see. Yes. Sorry, I'm getting asked a question by our second guest who's coming in from the East Coast. We have one on the West Coast today and one on the East Coast, although they both live on the West Coast, just traveling. And then we're going to let Robert show us our Mycronic Silver products, you guys, here in a second. I usually do the commercial, but I've made it a little bit more, I think, enjoyable and palatable for you today. So let's see how this one goes.
Did you want audio?
I don't hear it. Yeah.
Products and especially formulated to work with your immune system for an affordable, natural health choice. Check out mychronicsilver.net today and see why customers are choosing Mycronic Silver, fast acting and reliable. That's mychronicsilver.net.
Okay, you guys, so we lost a little audio there at the beginning. We are trying a few new things that I put together, and Robert is playing catch up because I sent him last night about 4 a.m. So he had just a couple hours to get on board with me. And that's what I like to do, is keep it on his toes for the millions of dollars I pay him in my head, which I would pay him if I could more. Maybe not millions, but probably a lot, because he does a lot of work. That is a fact. So you guys, June number 6 is we're going into Veterans Appreciation Month. So we go from Military Appreciation Month in May to Veterans Appreciation Month in June. Just want to remind you guys, keep them in your prayers, your thoughts. Thank them whenever you see them. I cannot emphasize this enough. This is not a one-day holiday, 4th of July, Memorial Day. This is an everyday thing. They are working every day for you. You should be grateful every day for them. And please do not forget that in between, right? So let's go into D-Day. This is interesting. I know my history, but I don't know all about it. So every time I do a story, I love it because I get to learn new stuff. I'll give you a little fact a little later after I read this, but we're going to bring up a movie. I'm going to read to you some information while we roll the original footage from storming of Normandy, just that whole time period, not just on the beach. So let's see, what do we have? We have, oh, Robert, did I give you your, I may not have, number 7? Yeah. So here we go, guys. Look at this old footage. This is what it was. Yeah. And I want you guys to really pay attention to, it's black and white. So it's not always easy to see, but this is how it was. Like, look at, it's so primitive, right? I mean, there's huge battleships out there, and there's communications, but you're going to see some pictures here that are just unbelievable. really. And on this day, on June 6th in 1944, we mark the 81st anniversary of D-Day. It's a turning point not only in World War II, but also for modern history. The world awoke to the largest seaborne invasion ever attempted, codenamed Operation Overlord. D-Day brought together more than 150,000 Allied troops from the United States, Great Britain, Canada, and other nations who landed on 5 beaches along a 50-mile stretch of Normandy coast in France to coordinate the military effort that day. The operation began in the early hours under the cover of darkness as thousands of paratroopers dropped behind enemy lines. At dawn, waves of soldiers stormed the beaches, Utah, Omaha, Gold, Juneau, and Sword Beach, facing machine gun fire and coastline riddled with mines and obstacles. In the dark, by the way. The cost was staggering, with Allied casualties on that single day numbered over 10,000, with more than 4,000 confirmed dead. By nightfall, the Allies had secured a foothold in Europe, setting in motion the liberation of Nazi-occupied France and ultimately the defeat of Hitler's regime. D-Day is more than a military operation. It's a testament to courage, sacrifice, and the power of nations working together against tyranny. Today, as we remember those who fought and those who fell, we also honor the enduring value of freedom, a freedom paid for at a very high price by our selfless servicemen. Cannot emphasize that enough. In a moment, I'm going to give you another little stat, but as you watch this, I mean, really look, the seas, look at, they're getting bombed out in the middle of nowhere. It is really unfathomable to me. I don't know about you guys, but I don't think we realize what's happening off the shores of all the other countries that we don't get to see. There was so much bravery and the lasting legacy of those who landed on Normandy shores as we honor their brave courage and service today. Can't overstate this. I don't know many people who want to run into danger like this. Here you guys have ground, air to ground. I don't know all the terms. We're going to find out from our Marines today. Missiles, I guess, coming off the ships, right? They're coming up on the shores. They don't know what they're going to. And when they drop that gate, by the way, I mean, it's like going in blind into a room with enemy combatants. Like you drop a gate and you're rushing out onto an open beach. There's no cover. There's no walls. There's nothing to protect you from anyone or anything. And all these people did this for us. So we have our freedoms today. So when you are bitching and moaning about what you don't have, yeah, well, stop that. That's awful. Because look what we do have, right? We have our freedoms. We live in a beautiful country for the most part, and it can always be better, right? We always have to make it better and help do that in our own ways. But we are here, and we are in the land of the free, the home of the brave. It still exists, and we still have men that are willing to go across the oceans and literally die for us, me and you. While we slept last night, we have all these little problems. We have a lot of heroes in the world. Law enforcement, of course, our military, men and women. Back then it was mostly men on the front lines, certainly. Our firemen, right? Our rescue guys. They pull people here out of Arizona. They're rescuing people all the time, just hiking that don't bring water with them. So that would die. People die on our hiking trails. So we have a lot of heroes around. And can you imagine if all these men and women were like you and me? I do not see myself jumping off a building or running into a area being bombed. Like, I just don't see that I would be able to do that. And that's why I think it's important we recognize it. And that's why I drive the point home so much, because I can't do it. So I can only thank them 1,000 times over. And it was rough. Look at this guy. He's in the waters. My gosh. So I think the end of this is just some fun PR stuff they put in there. Yeah. So this D-Day, 81st anniversary today. And with that, we're really honored today to welcome 2 distinguished retired Marines whose dedication to service embodies the same spirit and courage and commitment that I've been talking about this past month and just now. For our first guest, they're coming on separately just because I like to give each of them their own time, right? I don't like to stack people too much. They'll overlap a little bit, though. They are friends. But Martin Lopez is our first guest. He's coming to us from LA area. He is retired gunnery sergeant. who served in the United States Marine Corps from September 92 to December 2010. During his distinguished military career, Martin served with both Marine Combat Engineer Battalions and Marine Light Armored Reconnaissance Battalions, taking on vital roles in support of Marine operations. I'm not sure about this. I feel like he served in Afghanistan, Iraq, and Somalia with our second guest. Not positive about that. We're going to ask him. But I think they were the same unit, so I feel like they probably were in the same vicinity. But we're going to find out now. So let's welcome to American Perspective today, retired Gunnery Sergeant Martin Lopez. Thank you for being here.
Hi, thanks. Thank you for having me.
Oh, Leo's popping in too. Leo, I need you on mute though, buddy. We're not ready for you quite yet. Sorry.
Oh,
Sorry.
Martin
That's
told me
okay.
not. Okay.
We're going to bring you in soon though, just not right now. I just need a little bit of time with Martin, but I know I'm glad you're back there. That makes me feel good to know that you're already set up. So perfect. So just relax, have a cup of coffee, listen to our awesome conversation. So Martin, we met a couple weeks ago in San Diego at the Armed Forces Day Gala. That was beautiful. And I met you guys toward the end of the evening. It was really lovely hanging out with you. And I am grateful that you decided to come on today because I just kind of threw this at you. And so I do appreciate your time and willingness to be here with us today. And I wanted to ask you, so I Googled Gunnery Sergeant, right? Because I'm like, what exactly does that mean? I mean, I know what a sergeant does, and I know that Leo yelled at people. I'm not sure if you did. We're going to find out. But it says, is a highly experienced non-commissioned officer who specialized responsibilities at the company level. They act as the unit's operations chief, managing firepower, logistics, and working with the company commander on training and operations. Essentially, it says they're senior tactical advisors, supervisors, and mentors, often called, this is interesting, the backbone of the armed forces because of their crucial role in daily operations and leadership at the ground level. So for those who don't know what a gunnery sergeant does, apparently it sounds like you ran everything and were in charge of a lot of stuff. Is that true?
That's absolutely true. You hit the nail on the head.
Perfect. Love that when that happens. That's good. So good. We're off to a start. So I know what I'm talking about, at least that paragraph of it with what you did. But tell me, so at the Armed Forces Day Gala, have you gone to that event before? Is that the Combat Veterans for Congress? Is that a group you're involved with, or is that something that you just went to this year?
No, that's actually the first time that I've gone to that gala, and it was extraordinary. But yeah, that was my first time going to that. I'm invited to several events throughout the year, but this was the first time there.
Okay. And what would you think about the whole thing in general? Just a thought about that evening and what their mission is.
Yeah, it's great. Combat Veterans for Congress is awesome. I got to meet a lot of people. I was invited there by a good friend, Sergeant Major Juan Hidalgo, who was there as well. And that's how I was invited. We wanted to put together a table of Marines. We didn't know how many were going to be there, and turns out there was so many there. Being that it's in San Diego, there's a lot of Navy and a lot of Marine Corps veterans there. And that's kind of like who we ran into. It's kind of like going to a high school reunion and meeting old friends there.
Right.
I met a lot of new friends, and obviously we met some of the old ones. But it was extraordinary, especially the guests that were there. We had, as you know, 2 Medal of Honor recipients, both Marines, both in the Vietnam era, and got to meet with them and speak with them. Had some good photo opportunities with them, and yeah, it was great.
Yeah, that was really nice meeting them as well. They were in the video I just showed, and the speakers were amazing. Congressman Issa from California, from your state, was there. It was nice to see him. I have an interview with him. I'll post up eventually, trying to get that done. All the videos. Actually, I didn't get to talk to the Medal of Honor recipients like in detail. I met them. I spoke with them. I'm kind of sad that I didn't really corral them honestly away and just try to really talk with them a little bit more. I'd hope to be back in touch with them. Joe John was so nice to meet, and I didn't get to meet the new chairman either, but hoping to talk with him later. It's a really good mission. I mean, what they're trying to do, for veterans who do want to move into the government and Congress, I think it's great that there is an organization that is really helping them focus on more service to our country in that way. So I'm glad I got to meet you there. And and thankful really that you're here today. So your service, let's talk about that a little bit. I mean, it's D-Day, right? I want to hear your thoughts on D-Day. I don't know if you're a big historian or not, but I'm sure you have the lay of the land, so to speak, on that war, obviously. And just really what you did in the service, where you served, any of the major actions that you were involved in. I just want to kind of hear a little bit about that history before I ask you a couple questions that I have in mind. So tell me a little bit
Sure.
about that.
So, D-Day obviously was a big date in World War II. Obviously, we were already in war. We were in theater in the Pacific prior to that. And then D-Day happened in 1944. And then shortly after that, the war was over. As you know, we were fighting two campaigns, the Pacific with the Japanese and the European theater with the Germans. Both key players in this World War II being that. And, the logistics that were involved in D-Day itself, June 6th, 1944, there was so much planning involved in this invasion, Operation Overlord, as you mentioned earlier. There was a lot of other countries that were involved in this fight as well. But, at the end of the day, the war was eventually over, by the almost the end of 1945 because of that. So it was very important. Obviously, we lost a lot of people, people that served with us and in other countries. We had over 150,000 soldiers in this battle. 50-mile front, 5 separate beaches, over 50,000 ships involved. As you mentioned earlier, that there was people paratrooping before that into the dark. Pretty scary stuff, and you don't realize what you're going to get into until you're in it. In the Marine Corps, we have a lot of vehicles that you're in the back of a vehicle compartment and you don't really know what you're facing until you're out of that vehicle. So the same thing goes for these guys that were parachuting into enemy lines, or the soldiers that were in those the PT boats that were storming the beach. Obviously they couldn't get to the shoreline, so they had to drop them off maybe 200 yards before they got to the shoreline. And the Germans were prepared for this. They had set up a lot of bunkers throughout the area, and they were expecting this invasion. There was a big workup leading up to it. They were semi-prepared, but I think the overall amount of firepower and the overall amount of people that were involved in this combat led to the victory.
Yeah, it sure did. I mean, we talk about this and we talk about logistics and geography and all that, and that's what I don't think people understand. Our guys back then, I mean, there's communications were terrible, right? I mean, I don't know if they were on the string with cans, but so to speak, right? But nobody had cell phones, satellites. I mean, there's no like checking things out ahead of time. You guys they were going right in at the moment in the dark. They have no gauge of anything. There's bombs dropping around them. I mean, I can't even imagine you guys that are in the service and have been in Afghanistan or some of these hot wars. It is, oh my God. I mean, it's such a huge thought to me that you do this willingly and by choice and say, yeah, throw me into another country with people who are going to try to kill me. I mean, I'm your guy. And some people do it, their whole careers. And so it is just admirable. I can't state it enough. And I'm not trying to inflate your ego. I'm just telling you that from a perspective of somebody who is not that person. First of all, I'm a little sexist. I'm not really sure women in military, on the front line. Like I just feel like it's kind of a man's job. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I also think it's a man's job to carry somebody out of a burning building. Probably not Sally the firefighter, but Sammy the firefighter is the guy I want taking me down the stairs. So in that respect, I do think you guys are set up for it for obvious reasons, just the whole strength, your mental, just that you're so in it, and the testosterone's always pumping, of course, that really helps. But without you all, I mean, can you imagine? I can't even imagine what would have happened had that gone a different direction, where we'd be today. It's also hard to put your head around. And so for your service and their service, I just want to say thank you again. I can't say thank you enough. When I talk to people who've been in the military, I've got my big Superman shirt on. This is the close to hero as I get. I said earlier, Leo didn't hear me, but he hears me now. Yeah, I don't have a real hero outfit, right? I don't have a military uniform. So we just watch you guys protect us. And as combat engineer, what were some of personally like the most challenging missions that you did face, whether it was the geography, the desert, the climates, the water you maybe couldn't drink, I don't know, food that you didn't have, bad communications for whatever reason. Tell me if you can maybe pick a couple, maybe Afghanistan, if you were there in Iraq, what that was like.
So as a combat engineer, they have different jobs. Some build bridges so that we can get over them, and there's a lot of engineering involved. Then you have the ones that breach, they blow things up, so they're explosive experts. Then you have ones that purify water, ones that supply electricity. So it's one big unit. In Somalia, for example, there wasn't any kind of fresh water there, so we had ROPUs, which are reverse osmosis water purification units. Those are the ones that would purify water. It'd be salt water. You could have different types of organisms in the water, and they have these elements that clean them up. And you produce 30,000 gallons of water for Marines to drink water, to shower, to use it for whatever they needed. Electricians also run camps, particularly if you've got a camp that you have a command element, that a support element that's in that camp. You have to provide electricity for those types of tents. And the command posts, obviously, you have generators that are merged together so that if one goes down, the other one takes over that one, and you don't lose power. If you have communications, satellites, things of that nature, computers, and you need to have that combat operations center running all the time, that's where the electricians come into place. And there's the combat engineers that actually blow things up. They have Bangalore torpedoes. If you remember the movie Saving Private Ryan, they had Constantino wires set up throughout the beach, and in order to get through that, they couldn't just cut it because they would get shot at by the Germans. So they would put these Bangalore torpedoes and throw them over the berm, and then they'd explode, and then that would be a breach, and then they could get through the wire. Same thing goes for doors. They work with explosives, the C4 explosives. They have combat engineers that have mine plows, and they can plow through fields. They have C4, which is what they call a line charge trailer. And if you've got a combat area that's full of mines, and you obviously don't want to run through that minefield, you set up the line charge trailer. The line charge trailer shoots out a rocket, which shoots out about 200 yards, and it pulls like a giant sausage link of C4 explosives. Once it gets there, it detonates, it breaches the field, and you can cut across that field safely. And then if you've got a bridge that you can't cross because it got blown up by the enemy, then they have a bridge company. They set up bridges, which counter lever, so that if you've got two canyons and you want to get through it, you have to build the bridge on the opposite side to counterweigh the other one that you're building, eventually get to the other side, and then you can cross vehicles over. They do bridge surveying, so you could figure out if a bridge can hold vehicles that are going to follow you across that bridge. Things like that. That's what combat engineers do.
So were you ever, I mean, I heard bombs and getting across areas that could be blowing up. So were you ever in immediate harm's way in these actions?
Yes. In Iraq, when I was in theater in Iraq, although I wasn't with the Combat Engineer Battalion at the time, I was with the Light Armor Reconnaissance Battalion. I was a company gunnery sergeant in that role, which you explained already is a supervisory role, a mentor, and we lead small elements or a company element. That's primarily what I was involved in Iraq in 2003. So yeah, to answer your question, we were in combat and we were in harm's way.
Well, we're glad that obviously that you came through that as you did, because we know just from the Armed Forces Day Gala, you know, they had wounded warriors there, and we know that that happened, obviously. And so just, you know, just thrilled that you came through this, because it's sad, really, these poor guys and gals that this happens to, just because they're there doing their job, right? And I appreciate you giving us the details, because we don't really know what goes on over there, you know? We just know that they go and then people come back and sometimes they're damaged, sometimes they're not. I know, I think you and Leo both, I think, really kind of triumphed through your service and moved into private sectors really well and had really great secondary careers. And here you are. There you are in uniform. Yeah, wow. That a couple years ago, maybe? Pre-mustache. That's
Yeah,
pre-mustache.
the mustache comes and goes.
I like it both ways. I like it both ways. Very Tom Selleck, but a very nice look. And then here you are too. Here's some more photos you sent me with your guys. I assume that's your part of your unit up there, the group, and you in the field, and then you got your dress uniform on down there. So you looks like you're with planes. Did you do something also with planes?
That might have been
Same background?
a Marine Corps ball in on a flight line of a U.S. carrier.
Okay,
So
yeah.
it was a carrier warship. Yeah.
There you go. There you go. So I mean, as far as what you see happening today, you must pay attention a little bit, whether you're political or not. Sorry, you guys, I'm having a terrible time. My earpiece is just popping out. What are you thinking, when you see what's happening today from the last administration? We don't have to go hard politics, just like militarily,
Yeah.
the way the guys are being treated then or now. If you see a change, Doug Collins my show last week, I did a lot with Doug Collins, our new VA secretary, who also served in our government. And he's also actually an Air Force chaplain, which I found out recently. So, I mean, I think Doug Collins is a good guy. I don't think I've met him yet. I feel like I may have met him, but I think he's a good guy. I think he's trying to really clean it up. They're still saying that hospitals are, terrible wait lines. People aren't getting surgeries. But then I did read some stats to show that he actually just opened, I think, 3 or 4 major VA centers around the country, like different states, not even just central to one area. So what's your thoughts today on how's it going compared to what it was looking like the last 4 years?
I have to say that these last 5 months have been super exciting for me. In fact, I wish I was still in. Unfortunately, when I got out, was at the beginning of the Obama administration, and when he was running for office, he said that if he became president, he would downsize the military. And unfortunately, I was on that bus. People tried to reenlist during the time that I got out. People were trying to reenlist, and they weren't keeping a lot of the higher ups at that time. If you were a younger, service member, you probably got to stay in. But if you were in the higher up positions, they weren't allowing you to reenlist. I did want to make it a full 30-year career, but it was cut short, obviously,
Oh,
because of
wow.
the time that I was serving. So my trip ended abruptly, and
Huh.
I wasn't happy. I wasn't
So wait,
happy.
they gave you like walking papers in the military?
Yeah, there was this denial of reenlistment. So you put in a reenlistment package, and they will approve it or deny it. So it was denied. And I thought it was just personally myself, but started to realize that it was everybody that was in my same rank or the rank below me or above me.
And it
That's
wasn't a
what
money
happened.
thing, right? You get paid more than some other guys, I'm sure, at that level, but it probably wasn't even that. It wasn't a fiscal responsibility, let's cut the budget thing. I mean, I know they cut the budget, but it was probably them just not wanting to continue with the full protection of the United States. Ultimately, I think, right? Is that kind of,
Right.
yeah.
So right after 9/11, the armed forces got very big. Obviously, it was like a call to war. It's just like in previous years or decades before, in a time of war, people want to roger up. They want to say, hey, I want to serve. And I commend those people. We got a little heavy in the Marine Corps. We're the smallest branch of the service. And we had grown so much. We had so many people enlist after 9/11 that when we went to Iraq, we had so many people in the armed forces. Obviously, there's a budget, and we were still at war when Obama came on board. We were fighting 2 wars. We were fighting Afghanistan and Iraq, but he was going to stick to his guns and say that he was going to downsize the military. And the Marine Corps being the smallest branch of the service, it's the first one they put on the chopping block. So, I went along with several others.
You think that'd be the opposite of that, right? If it's the smallest amount of people, you think that they would retain those guys. Plus, there's all special, like, you guys all have super trained more than some other factions. And so I think it's funnier, even still, that they would cut you guys and not cut the big numbers with all your specialty training and all the years under your belt, especially after that situation. You think you'd want the most experienced people to hang around. I mean, common sense would tell you that.
Right.
But of course, got to look who's running things. So common sense was obviously lacking
Yeah.
in that whole administration for various reasons. Just the fact that they didn't really care about people enough to want to protect them going forward, even after 9/11, cutting all that back. Same with Biden, right? So what do you think about what Hegseth is doing? I'm curious because I hear a lot of
Some,
pros, but then I hear a lot
yeah.
of cons.
Well, he was an armed forces member himself. He served in the army. I think he's doing a great job. I like the fact that he's not sticking around with all the woke stuff. I mean, that just kind of threw everything off in the military. I mean, I get it if you have your opinions of things, but I think if you have set rules and you're coming into that, you should already know what should be expected of you. You know, it blows my mind the way the military is now as opposed to when I joined. And I'm sure the people that served before me probably thought the same when I joined. It's like, oh, it's the newer Marine Corps. It's not the old Corps. Well, I felt the same way with the new Marine Corps. But the way it went with the last administration, it just kind of blew my mind. It was just too much.
Yeah, they were over the top for sure. I mean, people in dresses. I mean, Rachel Levine, for God's sakes, oh my God. When you think, and we're not putting her up on screen either because we're not going to give them any credibility whatsoever, but she's a guy in a dress with long hair. It's serving in a top agency in our military. It is so embarrassing to think that they thought that that was even okay publicly, let alone privately. I'm certainly not a DEI person. Merit-based is obviously the way to go in everything. I mean, if you only go merit-based of people carrying guns, weapons, bombs, and the like that are there to save our lives, you think at least they'd want to go with that route of
Right.
people for merit so that we know that they're capable of actually defending us. Because again, I'm not fighting. You're fighting for me. And I need to know that the people that are in front of me are actually going to stop those bad guys from not getting in the country because they let them in the country, but maybe stop them from doing anything, harmful once they're here. And I don't think if you're picking out your next, Sunday dress outfit with shoes that you're that guy. So, not to be judgy or anything. If you're an adult, you can do whatever you want. Just don't do it in front of people on the camera in the military in uniform. Like that's not okay at all for under any circumstance. So that was a problem for me, and I'm glad to see that he is really shaping that up. And they're basically cutting out DEI completely across the board. My understanding last week or so,
Right.
he completely just chopped it. So we'll see. I know they're trying to fight him on it. We'll see how that goes. Hopefully he can reel it back. And I know enlistment, they said, is up, I think, over 300%. I don't know how they get those numbers exactly that fast, but in the last 4 months, apparently it is up, and that's good to hear. God, pray for everybody who's enlisting. I know President Trump is trying to bring peace across the countries. I think he's doing probably an okay job for what he was handed, and we'll see some more things calming down, I believe. I worry about the country here inside of our walls, right? This is where the danger is. I'm not so worried about what's going to happen in North Korea or in Russia or Ukraine, really, actually. Terrible wars over there happening for sure, but we have enough issues here that we need to worry about these terrorists that have come in. And where do you think we are on that? I mean, are we even able militarily, FBI, DOJ, all those guys, counterterrorism got involved last week? Are we at all even able to get a handle on this?
I think America needs to wake up. I mean, we have so many patriots among all our communities. They just need to put a stop to it. They need to just put their hands their foot down and say, hey, we're not going to take this. The country seems super divided with all these people that are woke or they want to sing kumbayas and hold hands. It's not about that right now. It's about getting back to the nitty gritty, back to being Americans and, standing for what you believe in, not that kind of stuff, but like America itself.
Right, that's right.
You
Well,
know,
and we were really pleased that you were there when you were. I'm sorry they didn't let you reenlist, although I guess I'm kind of glad you didn't realize reenlist either, because God knows what would happen, and I'm glad you're here today. So from like I'm a mom of two boys, so and I did want my younger son to go actually serve. It didn't work out like that, but he would have been a great candidate. Um, but I was afraid to let him in under the other party. So that's just me being a mom. I mean, if everybody's afraid to go in, obviously nobody would be there to protect us. But when it's your kid, it's kind of top of mind. Like, is this the person you want him to go and fight under? Biden, that didn't seem like a very smart parent suggestion at the moment. Now, right now, if you wanted to go in, I'd be like, yeah, go ahead. I'm fine with it. We got competent people back in, I think. So we talked off camera, though. You mentioned, I do want to mention this too, an organization that you work with. We don't have it on the lower third like normal because I didn't have the info, but tell us what that was that you talked to me about earlier.
so it's the Marine Corps League. Once you serve, you still always want to do things. I haven't met a Marine that just stops being a Marine. You earn the title, you carry it until the day you die and beyond. So, sometimes I wear Marine Corps shirts and I strike conversations with people, whether they're, Army guys, Navy guys, Air Force, but mainly the Marine guys. Hey, man, I was in the Marines too. And we strike up a conversation. And it's just kind of like picking up because you just acknowledge each other and you pick up where you left off in the Marine Corps. And there's an organization in pretty much every community. It's called the Marine Corps League, and they have them in pretty much every city if you look around or near your city. I'm the commandant of the Marine Corps League of the San Fernando Valley. It's Detachment 1277 in the San Fernando Valley. So we're just a community group. We're a bunch of Marines. We have a couple of associates as well, and we do things throughout the community. We do the Toys for Tots campaign. We do at least 100 honor guards and color guards throughout the year for any veteran. Any veteran, we don't charge for this. Family members will call and say, "Hey, my dad passed away. He was a Vietnam veteran or World War II veteran," and we'll make it absolutely happen. We'll come out to the cemetery. We'll give them full honors. We'll do the flag folding. We present that to the family, or we do the color guard, or we do the honor guard where we do the 21 gun salute. We do all those things, among other things. We also do the campaign for Toys for Tots every December. We give out thousands of toys to kids in the community, and throughout the year we sponsor a couple of people for college. We do like a
That's
little
great.
scholarships for them, and people donate. People donate as well.
That's amazing.
That's what we
So
do.
we'll put that in the descriptions later, since I didn't have it up in now, or on the lower thirds. Usually we have up socials. I know you and Leo are like social butterflies online, so which is, for refreshing, actually, different for sure. I actually asked him like, "Oh, hey, can I, do you have socials?" Like, "Oh, I can't even believe I had to say that." But that's what you have to say instead of like, "What's your phone number?" Like nobody asks for your phone number anymore.
Right.
Although that was also important to get. But yeah, it's a weird question. And he's like, "Not really. I don't really use social media." And I'm like, that's interesting. But great. I think it's great. Actually, I only got social media when I started doing this a few years ago. I didn't have an X. I didn't have Instagram. I don't have a TikTok. Well, I do have an actual TikTok, but I don't use it because I hate it. And it's just another app that I have to open, which is annoying to me. But and I'm not great at social media anyway. So it's all annoying to me. So I say we just go back to the old black books, just the phone numbers. Everybody memorizes them. You just
Sure.
call anybody anytime. I like the phone stuff personally. Because we're old. That's where we came from. So that's just the way it is. You like what you know. And so I think it's great, really, Martin, that you are still involved. I know that you told me you're in property management. That's the direction you went after the service. And I know that you're successful at it because you're sitting on top of a building that you manage right now. It looks beautiful at a rooftop. So I'm guessing if you're in LA doing anything with property these days, that you are probably in a good space, I have to say. But your additional service to the community, the Toys for Tots, is always a really great effort. I mean, a lot of kids just don't have stuff. And I know that people people say, well, stuff isn't important, and it's really not important. I kind of drove that home with my kids. But it's nice to be a kid. It's nice to feel like, like your neighbors, like kids at school. And so for organizations to really focus on the children, even in that way, I think it's really great that you are involved. I'm sure the community really appreciates that. And so I'm going to bring Leo on because he's been so patiently waiting. I kicked him off earlier when he came on because did you tell him to come on? If you did, it's fine, but I
I
had to
did.
kick him off.
We were just sharing the information on the link, and I told him that I was going to go on at the time that we started. And I think he
That's
might have
okay.
thought since he was coming on after me that he had to just be on standby.
He is on standby. He's a good standbyer too. I see him back there standing by. So there he is waving to me and waving back to you. So I want to bring this next pick up before he comes on. So my poor guy, Robert, I'm like, can you put this up? Can you throw this up? Oh, and can we have 3 people on screen at the same time? I don't know how any of this stuff works on the back end. I just do this side. And so he's like, Noel. And I asked him like an hour before the show. And he's like, you know, I've got to like reset like all this stuff up and all these frames. I'm like, oh, darn it. So we're going to do this. I'm bringing you and Leo up. Here you guys. This is you guys, right? Am I correct? Isn't this you guys on screen?
Let's
Yeah.
check.
Yeah, I know it is. I know it is. Yeah, that's you guys, isn't it?
I can't see it.
It is. It is. Leo
Oh,
confirm
okay.
it. Nod, Leo, if it's you guys. Yeah, it is. Yeah, I can
It's my
remember who sent me
retirement.
that. There you go. Come on
Oh,
in.
well, we're on the tip.
I'll
Yeah.
promo you. I'm not bioed.
How
You
are
come on in.
you?
I'm doing well.
Oh,
Thank you
wait,
for
we've
having
got
me. I appreciate
we've
it.
got
Excellent.
Krista Board
So-
joining us too, but we got to get her. Okay, she's gone. Yeah, so I couldn't bring us all up at the same time. So anyway, I wanted to bring that picture up because it's you two, and I know you guys are still friends and in touch with each other in that LA area, and that you guys probably do a lot of work together here or there, just friendship stuff probably. And so as I'm gonna let you go, Martin, if there's anything else you want to share with me or the audience, please feel free before. And you can hang out too in the back if you want to hang out and listen. Feel free, or get on Facebook. I'll send you the link. You can hop
Sure.
on, or you can hang out. You can whatever you
I
want to
just
do.
wanted to share one thing really quick because I knew you were talking about Memorial Day, just the other day. I want to share this really quick before I take off. Is that this new generation, they're very patriotic, at least the ones that I've met with, because we did a big flag placement on Sunday. Oh, there's a bee bothering me, sorry. We did a big flag placement at the cemetery. Ooh, that bee's trying to buzz my tower. And what was really remarkable about this young generation is we had a bunch of like explorers, like police academy explorers, Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts. We had so many volunteers help out that day. They placed over 2,000 flags at the grave sites. And I came back because we went to the event because it was Fleet Week. We went to an event at the park right next to the cemetery. And then I took another ride back to the cemetery just to see how it was going. And I noticed there was still a couple of kids out there at about 3 p.m., still putting flags out, still saying the veteran's name, and still saluting without nobody watching. So this is just them doing it on their own. And I thought it was really remarkable that this new generation was doing that. And I said to, like, there was about 6 of them, and I said to each one of them, hey, thank you for doing that. No one's watching. You probably could have just taken off, and you didn't take this day for granted. You were actually out there remembering people on Memorial Day and saluting them and being a patriot. And that's what was
Right.
really most inspiring to me that day.
Yeah, no, it's really important that you said that too, because we had that at our Memorial Weekend event, those 4 days at the cemetery over May 26th. And the kids come out and the Boy Scouts, and they put the flags across the cemetery, and it's good that our kids are involved. It's good that they see the other side of this, the hero side of it, the fighting, the jumping off planes, the paratrooper stuff, the Rangers, like it all sounds, I'm a girl, doesn't sound super cool to me. It sounds cool what you guys do. But then I would be like, oh, I want to jump out of a plane. So I'm sure to kids, that is so glamorous to a lot of young men and women too, young ladies these days, I guess too. But to see the kids respond where it's them just coming to take their time and to pay their respects to and to help the community put something like that together. It's really nice that you noticed that and that you said something about it, because it's important to mention them and let people know that we appreciate them thinking that way, right? Because the next generation is pretty important to us, of course, as we go into our late years. They're going to be the ones taking care of us in their 30s, and we hope that they are of that mind and not the the last administration's mind. And so, yeah, thanks for sharing that. That was really, I think, really important. So I'm glad that you did. I'm gonna bring Leo on. What time? Oh, Leo. Oh gosh, I made you wait like an extra 20 minutes. I'm so sorry. But come on in. As I read about Leo, he's our second guest today. Leo McSweeney, a retired Marine Sergeant Major with a distinguished 30-year career. He served 10 years on active duty and 20 years in the Marine Corps Reserves, primarily in infantry roles, including, and I'm going to breeze these through so we can go into it: mechanic, crewman, infantryman, drill instructor, talking about that, and ultimately Sergeant Major. Leo deployed 8 times to combat and non-combat zones in Somalia, Iraq, and Afghanistan, retiring from the Marines in 2023. In addition to his military service, he dedicated another 20 years to law enforcement as a patrol officer in LA and San Diego areas, and retired in 23 from San Diego Police Department. Beyond his service, Leo appeared as a, get ready for it, drill instructor on Fox's boot camp, where he brought Marine Corps training and leadership. Sorry, I am going to get through this without laughing my ass off. And leadership to civilian contestants undergoing military style challenges. And he was featured in a film called Uh-oh. Do you remember that? Today, he continues to serve as commander of Marine Corps League 1207, the Colonel Mitchell Page Detachment in Chula Vista, California, where Robert, my producer, is. So welcome, Leo.
Hello. Good to be here. And I'm not
Okay.
doing anything but sitting in my aunt's basement drinking a beer. Martin looks like he's on vacation over there,
Vacationing.
having a good time.
I
I'm
know you're
actually in
actually on
the
vacation.
I'm in the basement of the house I grew up in that my aunt owned when I was a kid. And this cellar was all dirt floors and gas lines and water lines and stuff like that. And it's a little different now, but it still needs some work. But
A
I'm
little
in
bit.
Boston.
Just
I'm on the East
not
Coast. You guys
judging,
are on the
but
West Coast.
your ceiling's falling. So yeah, you might want, we'll start with the
I
ceiling.
had to pull all that down. It was all plaster, and I stripped it all. But it's gonna look nice.
Gonna be fun. I'm sure it will. So you guys are friends out there in LA now. You guys were in unit together and you served overseas together in some of those areas we mentioned. And so how do you guys interact? You work, I know you're in different organizations. We just mentioned yours and his. But are there things that you work on together over there?
So Martin and I have known each other for a long time, and we served with this in the same light armored reconnaissance battalion back in the day. Actually, I think Martin, I think you were a gunny and I was a sergeant or a staff sergeant, or you were a staff
Sergeant.
sergeant, I was a sergeant.
Y-
But
Right, yeah, you're
yeah, I was so I think Martin might have been the company gunny when I checked into the unit, and we would go back and forth, but we uh obviously spent many years in the same unit and training together and became great friends. And the I would say this, like the best thing about the Marine Corps is that your senior leaders, their number one thing is to make sure that you are trained and taken care of. And when I say taken care of, not coddled, but you talk to Marines about more than just combat related, their combat related job, or it's you talk to Marines about finances, you talk to Marines about relationships, you talk to Marines about hygiene, everything under the sun. And so when I checked into that unit, Martin would be one of those guys that would push that down to me, and then he push it down to the lower Marines. So I've known Martin for, oh man, definitely over 2 decades, and him and I are good friends. And you couldn't come from more different backgrounds than Martin and I did. Martin lived in L.A. and Mexico, and I lived in Boston, and the neighborhood I grew up in was mostly Irish, you know, and
No,
you know, it's
kidding? Are you
it's
really
shocking.
Irish for
Yeah,
real?
lived in
No,
South
would never
Boston.
guess that. That's Boston. Who'd have known? My
You're either
God.
Irish, Italian, or Puerto Rican here.
This is
That's
where
it.
you don't need Zoom on camera to know who you're talking to when they're from Boston, right? Like it's pretty obvious. We're all in Boston now with Leo
But
because it's like you're
that's
just right there.
the best food, by the way. The best foods in
I
Boston.
know it. I know it.
And
For sure.
but you know, that's the greatest thing about the Marine Corps is like you take guys that are from everywhere, everywhere, and they have that common goal, you know. And you know, in the there's the locate, close with, and destroy the enemy. That's just basically the Marine Corps infantry division kind of task and job. And you combine all these guys and you become close with a lot of them, and a lot of people wouldn't understand that because you don't get the same thing in school, in high school or college or at your work site or stuff like that, because the challenges that you face, not even in combat but just the training to go to combat, you know, you're basically around each other all the time, and you become very close to each other, and you can pretty much uh, criticize, constructive criticism, not always constructive criticism, but you know, give each other a hard time and criticize each other and make each other better and root for each other, and especially as a senior Marine going down to the junior Marines, you want those guys to succeed. So you know what? While we're on here, thank you, Martin, for everything you did for me. I love you, brother.
You,
Oh,
brother. Same
that's
here.
so nice. So did you hear me read when at the top of the hour, I don't think you were on yet. I was reading the definition of gunnery sergeant. Did you hear me say that?
I did. Yeah,
Oh,
I
you
did.
did. So the backbone of the armed forces,
Yes,
because, and they mentioned, you know, the supervisory, but mentors, like they put in mentors, right? So you guys are working
no
with these
doubt.
kids, right? And I can only imagine what it would be like to be yelled at by you. From what I've heard, not awesome. So, because I have heard it. So, but other than that, I mean, I'm sure that's just an isolated role that you play for obvious reasons to whip them into shape as fast as possible. But otherwise, I guess the guys are probably coming to both of you as senior leaders with their issues. I mean, they got home issues, they're far away, they've probably got family issues and whatnot, or just the missing of family and dealing with that for the first time if they're 18 and have never been away, which a lot of people have never been away from home. So, or even out of their state. So how was that for both of you? I'm curious, like, did you do a lot of that with the kids?
Uh, you know what? I'll just speak for me right now. The younger guys, when they're dealing with things, as I had guys that were in Afghanistan and Iraq who were, you know, were married and their wife was leaving them, or they had a girlfriend and their wife was leaving them. That was like the biggest thing. You know, I honestly, my first 10 years in the Marine Corps, I wasn't married, so but I can remember guys getting Dear John letters and not really it impacted me at all. And then later on, I was married, but I never really worried about it. But these young guys who were married or had girlfriends, or even like a girlfriend and they had a kid with, and they would get a Dear John letter, it would destroy these guys because um, there's a good thing and a bad thing about, you know, being in an infantry unit in a combat zone. There's nonstop operations. There's nonstop operations, and you can ask Martin this. It's like all of a sudden 8 months is gone. You're like, oh my God, we got here, and I thought, oh man, this is going to take a long time. But it's nonstop operations. There's always something going on, a patrol, or you know, checking your guys on OPLPs, or you're checking guys that are working the ECPs, or doing a foot patrol, a mounted patrol, or a convoy, or you name it. There's so much things that are going on that you you don't have time to think about stuff. So kids that would get these Dear John letters, not even always kids, most of the times kids, but sometimes you'd have, you know, gunnies and first sergeants and sergeant majors get them too. You had to give them the quick 3 minute pep talk because you were stepping off to another mission right after that. You know what I mean? And it kind of it 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 made me, and I had these conversations with 5, 6, 7, maybe 8 Marines, and you would kind of have to tell this guy, well, you had told him the truth, like, hey, I need you, and the Marines need you. We need you. We love you, and we need you. I know you're hurting, but you know, we need you right now, and it's kind of hard to get into somebody's head when they're like, why am I here? Why am I here? Whereas before they had their letter, they were fine. But now they have the letter and they're thinking about home. So it's that when I go back to the senior leadership again, you got to be that senior leader that steps in and tells that Marine how special he is, that we need him. I want him to get home safe, and I want to get home safe.
Right.
And you all need each other.
Yeah, biggest thing too, right? Because they have your backs too. So it's really important that their head is in the game, right? At all times, because of what you guys are dealing with out there. At any moment, you just don't know what's coming around. So I'm sure that was probably one of the more difficult things that anybody has to experience when they're in the military too. Just, I mean, a loss of home, a parent, somebody sick. I mean, there's so many issues that take place every day for us and our families that I can't imagine being overseas and having to deal with any of that. A sick father, for heaven's sakes, could put anybody, in harm's way because you're not going to be thinking clearly if you're worried about that person. So I told, Martin this, I'll tell you too. I'm glad that it all came together for you guys. And you were definitely I don't want to say lucky, but I will say lucky because we know that it can go so many other ways. And we see that with our wounded warriors every day, which I'm glad that they remind people of that too. And so it is nice to know that you guys stayed safe the whole time you were over there. And some of those wars were horrific. Afghanistan, obviously, Iraq, obviously, we know about those. Somalia, we didn't hear so much about, but I mean, bombs are bombs, all the bombs are the same, right? They kill. And if you're in the way of it, it's not going to be good. So I don't think the geography matters so much because war is war. And when they're not our wars and we send people over there to fight on behalf of others, I get why we do it. I do. I know it's national security. I know that we're protecting our homeland. I understand that, but it's still, maybe it's because I'm female. It's really hard to the common sense thing doesn't really make sense to me. Like, I feel like all our guys should be here. Predominantly, I think most of our guys and girls, I'll say, I guess, should be here in our homeland at our borders, north and south. And I do a lot of border work. I did a Take Our Border Back initiative actually out in San Ysidro. We were there last year in July, and here in Yuma and some other places around the country. We did that for a year, and just to bring awareness. And people don't realize how porous our border was. Now they do because it's all over the news because we have a different news cycle. But for 4 years, people had zero idea. And living here in Arizona against the border, a couple hours away, I mean, you see it right here if you pay attention at any city in America. So our guys, I would love to see more of them. I'm okay with military in the streets. I've been overseas. When I was in Syria before 9/11, before they bombed Syria, I mean, there's guys in the streets everywhere with big, I don't know the guns, the big ones. I have a little 9, so that's all as far as I know. But the big guns with the big slings on them, and they're just standing around in their military uniforms, with their military trucks in the middle of the square at the market in the jewelry store. And all I could think was, and I'm Christian Orthodox, but then Syria's half Muslim. So in the market, you guys know this. Everybody comes in the markets together. They come, they shop, they eat, whatever. They're just milling around. It's body to body, super close quarters. And there's no problems. Nobody's getting pickpocketed. There's no assaults. There's none of that. Because guys are standing around in the corner with guns and they will shoot them or cut your hand off, which I'm kind of in favor of. I'm not going to lie. I mean, I am. I'm kind of a corporate punishment kind of person, corporal punishment. And I definitely believe kind of an eye for an eye. Like, if you're killing somebody, that pretty much should just be the thing. I don't know why we have to go through a process. It seems silly, especially if it's on video like it is these days with so many crazy people killing people on the streets. That's just where I land on that. So yeah, I'd love to see all our guys back here standing next to Circle K with the gangbangers hustling on the street.
I'll say that the deployments that I've done, I with the young, it's funny, like, never do you talk politics, and not that you don't want to. It's just that it's really not a thing, at least in the infantry battalions. and Martin can attest to this too. Like if you say something political, it's usually in a joking way. You know what I mean? Like when I was in Iraq in '04 and we would do a patrol, I would brief the patrol. I would do the op order, or my platoon commander would do the op order, and then I would tell the guys, "Hey, I just talked to Hillary Clinton, and she said good luck to you guys." Or I'd pick a Marine out and I'd say, "Hey, Hillary Clinton said that she's going to be wait." So it would be joking around, or I'd say
Right.
something. So and because on this, like I served uh in combat zones with Republican and Democrat presidents. So it wasn't a thing that you thought about. I mean, I can never really think of one hardcore political discussion that any of my Marines had. You're just thinking about the mission, and I kind of, to tell you the truth, I love that. I love that. It's like, hey, we're here. I get it, flag, corps, and country, but it's a brotherhood first. The flag, corps, and country's a great thing, we're all for that, and you love it. But when you're over there, it's for the guys that are around you. I just talked to one of my Marines like 3 days ago. He hit me up for the first time in like a year, and he was like, "Hey, I'm glad we made it back. I'm amazed we made it back." And him and I, um, him and I had a talk. When we were in Iraq. We talked about toast for 4 hours, like toast that you eat, because you're not
Like
eating all the
sourdough versus
things.
rye.
You're not eating all the things that you want to eat. The
Right.
people don't
Yeah.
understand like what you go through isn't just combat. It's a little bit of everything. But him and I had a 4 hour talk about toast. Like, I like English. Oh, do you like rye bread? I like putting jelly on it. Oh, what kind of butter? Like, seriously, 4 hours. Him and I we're actually sitting on an IED waiting for EOD to come out and blow it up. And him and I laugh about that now. But it's you that camaraderie. Like I tell the kids I grew up with around here, like I'll never be as close to you guys as I will with my Marines. And I grew up with these guys and I love these guys here in South Boston, but the Marine Corps is like it's a different animal. The struggles that you go through, you're never going through it alone. You're always with somebody else. You're never alone, whether you're getting rained on or you're hungry or getting shot at or whatever. You're never going through it alone.
That's great. Martin, I assume you agree with all of what Leo just said.
Yeah, it's funny because this particular person that he's talking about is a guy that he calls cacahuates, which means peanuts in Spanish. And cacahuates, his real name is Cuauhtemoc, which is like a Aztec emperor back in the day, before Spanish rule came into Mexico, like before the 1500s. Anyhow, we were at Leo's retirement, and I happened to run into this guy who we didn't even know each other from Adam because Leo served with him on a combat tour to Iraq in 2005. And I was in Africa overseas at the time with my unit. So we ended up meeting at Leo's retirement. And it turns out that we're from the same hometown in Mexico. How about that?
Yeah. Wow. Small world, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's great. I mean, I'm sure that happens a lot, I would suspect. I mean, the world is really small. I know this to be true. I from the East Coast originally, Oregon, here 25 plus years. And it's weird because I don't know if people just migrate where you are and that's just how life goes. Like they're like, oh, you live in an awesome state, I'm going to come there now. And then you see people again 30 or 40 years later. But it is a small world. And even though we're in a big state, you do start recycling people. And so in that capacity in the service, I imagine it would be quite comforting and very nice to run into people from a hometown, even their country, really, being Mexico, at all, just to have that warmth. I don't know if that's the right word, like familiarity, people that they're from a good place, you're from a good place, where they're from, so they're probably a good person as well, and where their roots are. I think that would be important.
In the Marine Corps, you run into so many people, but you always develop a super, super tight bond with people like Leo was mentioning earlier. He's from Boston. I'm from Los Angeles. We meet in the Marine Corps, and now we travel to Boston. Now we travel to Mexico. I mean, we've been to each other's homes in different countries, different cities across the country or across the world. It's remarkable. But
It
what
really
was
is.
funny about meeting this guy, they say that it's a small world and an even smaller Marine Corps.
And you mentioned earlier too how small the Marine Corps was. I didn't even ask you about this, and I was going to ask Leo, because I think you guys told me this. Maybe somebody told me this at the Armed Forces Gala. Maybe it was you, Leo, about how the Marines are. Let me see if I get this right. Part of the Navy. Is that right?
The
Am I
men's
close?
department.
The men's department, yeah.
I know you guys have all your little rivalries. It's like I'm the better Marine, I'm the better serviceman. I know. We think you're all equally awesome, actually. Uniform aside. But is that true, right? Aren't you guys a part? Is it the Navy? Is that what you're part of?
Yes.
You're like a faction of that or something? Like
Yes.
the silent part of the Navy? Yeah. Tell us about. I don't think everybody knows this.
Yeah. I
Somebody.
mean, the Marine Corps is a department of the Navy, just because it goes back to 1775, where there was a small faction of Marines that were on naval ships, and they were the sharpshooters up in the
Mast.
sails, or the, what do you call
Yeah,
them?
the mast.
Sorry, I'm not a boat guy, even though I've been on a bunch of them, up in the mass, and they were the sharpshooters for the Navy. So um, basically, Marines always had to know how to shoot. So I guess that's good.
I guess so, because you don't think of Navy men as marksmen at all. I would never even that would even cross my mind that they could. Yeah, I just feel like they're out there logistically running the boats around the water, and pushing the buttons of the big missiles that come off the boats. Like, not a lot of marksman practice, but anyway, so I just thought that was interesting because I'd never in my life heard that. And I know plenty of people in the military, Navy included. So I just thought it was really interesting. And I think a lot of people just don't know really even how our agencies function, to tell you the truth. But I was going to ask you too, Leo. I asked Martin this earlier. So I did want to ask you also a little bit about the same, just today is D-Day, 81st anniversary. Obviously, we're all here. Free speech, is kind of alive and still happening a little bit most of the time in America. But it could have gone a totally different way. Hitler's, he would have, who knows what he would have done, actually killed so many people on the other side of the world, and then what he would have done had he gotten a hold of more of the world. So what is it, what does today really mean to you when you think about it from your side of it?
I go back to so a friend of mine who was a World War II veteran, he fought in Guadalcanal. He wasn't at D-Day, but he was a Guadalcanal vet, which was 2 years before D-Day against the Japanese. And at his funeral, actually Martin and I were at his funeral. I taught his family, said, "Hey, do you want?" I wasn't expecting this, but they asked me, "Hey, can you go up and say something?" I went, "Okay." And the biggest thing that I said was the world was so different back then that you can't even imagine now. You can't even imagine it, and it's funny that people have so many they're the victims of so many fake invisible things now. But back then you had Ed, my buddy Ed, who's the one that passed away. He was 17 years old. He was with the 1st Marine Division. He was landing in Guadalcanal to fight the Japanese, who had pushed all the way down to almost Australia and east all the way to, I mean, they hit Pearl Harbor, and they were in Midway, and they were in Guam, and they were in Wake Island, and then the Germans all over Europe. And the country was so different back then as far as fear. I mean, I think, not that I think, I know people in the United States felt it, the impact of that, because you had people who were, were had food stamps as far as you can only get this and you can only get that, and they were collecting metal and they were collecting rubber and they were collecting, they were, you couldn't get gas, so everything was geared towards the war. So the the people felt that impact, and D-Day the country was so together. I don't know if we'll ever be this way again, against a common enemy, which, fascism and then the Japanese imperialism, that uh, everybody felt it. Everybody felt it, from rich and poor. The president's, at the time, son was a Marine raider on Guadalcanal, a lieutenant, and then I think his brother was a general on D-Day. I think Roosevelt's, I think it was his brother, was a general on D-Day and actually died. He had like a heart attack or something. I think it's Roosevelt's brother, but I know his son was a Marine on Guadalcanal, and I'm pretty sure it was his brother was a general, like a one-star general on D-Day. So you had the president's son and brother fighting on two separate conflicts
Yeah.
during World War II, and I don't think we'll ever have that feeling of, I guess, doom, but hope at the same time when those guys hit the beaches. And you're talking, they don't even know how many people were lost on the first day. I looked this up like months ago, but it's like between 5 and 9,000. It's like, how do you have an equation that big with the
Well, I'm
Canadians, the
sure
British, and the Americans
a lot
hitting
weren't found.
D-Day and dropping guys
Right.
behind enemy lines? And I mean, you never say never. I hope it never happens again. But the country, I'll just speak for the United States, but I think for a lot of the free world at that time, there was really a lot of hope rested on those guys, and they knew that they were embarking on something that was, once in forever. And if they didn't succeed, who knows what kind of world we'd be in right now.
No,
Um,
it's
and
crazy.
and a lot of those guys aren't around anymore. There's still a few left. Um, I I I wish that the country could go back to being that way, as far as having some type of unity. I don't understand the split that we have, and a lot of the split is people are believing insane and crazy invisible things and wanting to be victims of things that don't
Everything.
exist.
Yeah.
And for and Martin can attest to this, being in the Marine Corps, you're brothers with everybody, black, white, Hispanic, Asian, you name it. So you don't get that in the Marine Corps. So when you encounter it, where people are screaming about racism and sexism and this and that, I kind of laugh at people because I'm like, what are you talking about? You're in the greatest country in the world. You've never been anywhere else.
Yep.
And but they use their victim mentality as like, look how brave I am. I did this. Like, dude, you didn't do anything but get online and say you're fighting
Right.
uh
Something
fascism or
ridiculous.
racism or
Yeah.
whatever.
Something that doesn't exist.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. Or burning a building or holding a sign in front of a Capitol. I mean, yeah, they don't understand. If you haven't been outside the country, and I don't count Mexico and Canada, I've been both several times, love both countries, upper and lower. But if you have not been overseas with a passport, because you didn't need a passport till recently over here, you don't understand these countries. And even Syria, as modernized as it was in 2001 when I was there, Lebanon, super modern, and it's bustling. Like it's like a full-fledged city. Like stuff is going on. People are not sitting around the campfire. Okay, I know people think that, but they're not doing that. Everybody has cell phones, the whole nine. And you don't understand though what they don't have over there, even in the 2000s and that time frame. Like they're still restricted, not because of a war, just because the way countries are. People don't understand how much we have over here. It's just like accessible all the time. Our government doesn't restrict for the most part. China restricts their internet. I mean, in Syria, my relatives in Syria have a brother and sister that live there, that are from there, that won't move to the States. They like it there. And it's beautiful. They're right now rationed on electricity. I mean, after the war, of course, but still, it's still happening 10 years later. Internet. I don't know if things is as bad now, but people just don't get it. You think you have something or lack something here. That's why I was saying Toys for Tots. It's good the kids have that, because that is a loss for kids. They're children. But as adults, when you have a loss of stuff, or whatever, you're right to not burn the building in public. People think that somehow they have a right to do that, and then they get up in arms because, oh my God, my First Amendment right, you can't stop that. They just don't there's no First Amendment rights anywhere in the world. Like you're
No.
in France and there's plenty of Americans in France, and France is a pretty progressive country, but they're hard crackdown too. Like their governments, all the governments, as we crack down too, I'll say that, but not as bad. And people don't get that what you guys are over there fighting for is literally the freedoms that people bitch and moan about not having here, which I think is ironically terrible, but true. So we'll say again, thank you. We're not quite done because I got a little bit more for Leo, but in the middle of all this, we'll just say thank you guys again. Thank you, Leo. Thank you, Martin. Thank you to anybody else who's watching, who's given any amount of time for service, whether it's the 2 or 3 year mark, whatever that lower the minimal is. I don't know anymore, but it used to be 4, I think. But or if it's 30 years, you're boot camping it, you're maybe traveling, maybe you're overseas, you got terrible conditions if you've gone over to the other countries. I mean, look what happened in the pullout from Afghanistan. I mean, that alone would deter a lot of people from even trying to serve our country. So when you still have these young men and women going about to do this, it's can't be overstated that these are extraordinary people. You guys were extraordinary for doing it when you did it and for taking that on. And anybody these days, especially these days, knowing what's coming around the corner and nuclear and all of that, just hats off. Hats off. Can't say it enough. So I want to thank you for that thought. I just want to bring a couple. I know Robert's, I think, are you still with me, Robert? kind of went off track here today, but it's okay. We're going to bring up a couple little photos of Leo. He sent me a kind of a little mishmash. So we'll get a little bit of okay. So here's our first one. So I didn't mean to group these together like this. Usually I try to group pictures together, but it's just the way it worked out. It was like 2:00 in the morning when I put this together. So obviously wonderful in uniform. Look at that. That looks fresh out of an academy. And then we've got our lower. You said that was Christmas Eve somewhere overseas. Yeah, eating a grilled cheese.
That was the MRE with what's the one, Martin, with you have the tortillas, but you get the cheese in it. There's like is it beef taco one?
Yeah.
But you didn't know what you were eating over there?
You have to mix all of the ingredients, or you could just eat them by itself.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, it's the beef taco. That's what I had out of the MRE with some cheese, but I got to heat it up. So that's why like the grease was running down my hand.
I saw that
photo.
messy eater.
What's funny about that is I was on an OP in Afghanistan, and I'll never forget that Christmas Eve. I mean, one of probably the best. It sounds weird, but one of the best Christmas Eves I ever had, because I had a squad out there of really motivated guys, and they were putting together they took a bunch of MREs and kind of made a Christmas Eve thing together. There was only 12 of us out in this OP, but they kind of put it together, and we ate it and we're laughing. And if you see, like we're not. It's there's no electricity, there's nothing out there. And so that, and then we were out there for New Year's Eve too. And I had a gunny who was the company gunny for the time. He drove out there. It was like a 2-hour drive to out where we were at. And he brought us hot chow. And it was really great. And guys who are in the military, especially being in an infantry unit or in a combat zone where you're not getting hot chow, getting something like that is a big deal.
I'm sure it is.
It was pretty awesome. Did you guys sharing the misery?
Were you guys ever stationed together, working together?
Yes, we were in the same battalion, but we did not deploy together. We were in different companies.
Oh, different companies. Okay. I hate to admit out loud, I don't know the hierarchy of our military servicemen and the levels. I mean, obviously I know what enlisted are and I know what officers are, and I get the colonel thing. But it's the in-between layers that I'm, not sure, the battalions, the units, the divisions, and I don't even know if that's all one thing. I don't even know if those are synonymous.
It goes all the way down from the individual Marine all the way up to the whole Marine Corps, a fire team and a squad and a platoon and a company.
Did you guys run into each other ever?
Oh yeah.
I mean, it's just like just passing when you guys are restocking or reloading or
We ended up in the same
re.
company at one time for a little while, but we didn't that company didn't deploy. We did a bunch of training together. So we were
Gotcha.
out in the field together. Actually, the night that that bat landed on my face in Pendleton, Martin, you were there. We were outside
Oh,
sleeping.
Camp
So
Pendleton. Well, that's a safe zone for sure.
yeah,
Right.
yeah. I did have a
So
bat
But the
attack me.
bat, but the bat, was that the scariest thing? We have them all over Arizona. When I drive home at night, because I live far north in the country, there's bats like they're swooping your car. Like once I get out where there's no street lights, oh my God, they pretty much attack your car when you drive by every night. They're huge. They are not afraid of anybody. Don't see them during the day though, thank God. I'm sure you can handle a bat or two.
Well, I was
Not the
sleeping and
corona
he landed
bats
on my
though.
face.
Oh, actually on your face?
Yeah, when I was sleeping.
So you didn't
The
like sleep
first
with the covers up for like all the
No, no,
like
no, because
just
it was hot.
complete
It was hot. It
cover?
was in the summer.
Oh man, that's got to be
And
rough,
the
right?
bat
Hot out
knew.
there, no AC. Well, we just had a bee on set here with Martin, and he was about ready to duck and dive, maybe jump off an edge. So, so it's good to see that our strongest, toughest, bravest military men, bats and bees, might be their undoing. At
I
least
didn't
in the
want to hurt
States.
it, you know. I didn't
See,
want to hurt the
that's
bee because that's a lot of honey.
See, that's the
I'm an
caregiver. See,
animal
that's
lover.
they'll see that's a serviceman. So servicemen ultimately are
We are
of
animal
service
lovers.
to others. Probably all things living, I would guess, for the most part. And that's the mentality that you guys have, which makes why you guys are who you are. Because not everybody thinks that way at all, even just on a regular person to person basis these days, right? Nobody's really there to help a lot of other people. They don't think that way. So we also applaud you for that. But I could kind of just visualize the whole, well, I see Martin just kind of doing the whole crazy thing with the bee, and then I could see you at the bat. That would be scary as heck. Because bats are no joke. That's gross. Certainly after Corona and the whole bat situation. But and we don't even know if that's true. That's just misinformation, possibly. Don't censor me, YouTube. Don't take me down for saying that. I want to bring up number 13, Robert, too. We'll get back to oh yeah, okay, this one first. We didn't really look at this one. This is you with a couple friends up top. You got your troop down below, your guys, your enlisted guys, I'm guessing, that you're
Yeah.
yelling at.
Yeah, this up top, I think that's me and what's that guy's name? The gunny that was at fourth. I can't see his face. Anyways, Martin Gunny Lopez knows, or Martin knows him. And then down the bottom right, I'm up at Bridgeport training with I think I'm a first sergeant with the 123 with Alpha 123, and then up top is a couple of guys I served with. That's at my retirement party, the top right one, and one guy I was a drill instructor with, and the other guy was he was like a first sergeant or maybe a gunny with a unit I was with in Iraq.
There you go. So that was, yeah, just a couple years ago. Yeah, you look about the same. And then this one I loved. You sent me this World War II veteran. Tell us about this gentleman.
So that's a guy that Martin and I, if I call Martin Gunny Lopez, it's just because it's just
Habits.
a thing. It's even on my phone. I put Gunny Lopez.
Okay, then I'm
Anyways,
changing my phone to Gunny Lopez now.
Martin and I went to his funeral, and I was friends with Ed for a long time. I met him when, man, I might have been a corporal. He's from New York, but he lived in LA, and I became good friends with him and was always pals with him, and I'm good friends with his family still. And he passed away, oh man, it's got to be 8 or 9 years ago now. And
No,
what's
yeah,
that?
like it was like 11 years ago.
Oh wow, okay,
Wow.
it's
Yeah.
been a while. And he was just Ed was a card. That guy was awesome, and he was a Marine. Joined when he was 17. He was out of the Marine Corps like when he was 20 or 21, and had fought on 3 or 4 separate islands during World War II. Fought the Japanese. Was in the First Marine Division. And part of the greatest generation, and those guys just can't be replaced. I mean, Martin and I wish we were as cool as those guys. Those guys were just the coolest
Yeah.
guys ever.
One of a
You know what I
kind.
mean?
Yeah, for sure. Oh, yeah.
To know
One of a
one of those
kind.
guys, it was just, and talk about a cliche. He smoked cigars and he drank scotch, and he was the greatest guy. When I was a cop up in L.A. On my night off after my 4 days, I would go and take him for dinner. So at least once a week, if not once every 2 weeks, once a week. And I would sit down, and I hate scotch. I hate scotch. But he would call me names if I didn't drink scotch with him. So of course I would have a couple of scotches with him, and I would smoke a cigar because I do like cigars. But those guys, there was another guy named Mendy that he hung out with, also a First Marine Division guy, uh, World War II veteran. Those guys were just they were the
Best.
greatest. They were the greatest. They did not give two craps about hurting anybody's feelings, and they said whatever was on their minds. And they were hilarious. But I got to hang out with some of the coolest guys. Martin and I have got to hang out with some really, really great, cool guys, and humble, very humble guys. And they would love busting your chops. Ed would bust my balls all the time, and I would love it. It'd be funny as hell. But
That, yeah.
we were lucky to walk amongst giants, because those guys are giants.
Yeah, no, I know the men who served before these last couple generations, that they were extraordinary, more so. I mean, they're extraordinary now. All of you guys are. I'll say that for sure, and I mean that 100%. But those guys, that generation, my uncle who fought in the Korean War, just different model, right? Just different model of human being that they made back then. And I guess they made a lot of them back then because that whole generation fought for us.
Sure.
At Normandy. So they were cranking out a lot of quite amazing men. And it was mostly men there. Was no women on the front lines. Again, as it probably should be. And so, because I'm not sure how you guys feel about it, but I mean, you guys are probably progressive now. It's 2025, but I don't know. Do guys really want
No,
Susie firing off
no,
rounds next to them when they're in a line and there's fire back? Like, it just doesn't seem great to me. I
no.
mean, no. And you don't have to admit it, Martin, but
You
it's a
know,
reality.
I served with some of them in combat, but they weren't, like you said, they weren't on the front lines, but they were more of a supporting role, the support element
Right.
part of it.
Yeah.
And I'm okay with
Yeah,
that.
no, you need that too. You need the support. I mean, I started as a secretary. Those are important jobs. They run everything. So, I mean, those are equally important jobs. I'm just saying from a brute perspective, sheer strength perspective, the mental strength you need in that highly intense, scary situation. I mean, most girls, just saying, probably going to duck and cover. I know that's not true now. I know there's plenty of capable women in the military jumping out of planes and doing what they do. I just feel like, I don't know, I am kind of old fashioned like that, I guess. I'm not going to apologize for it. I just think that that's how, I mean, a lot of us were raised like that, and I don't think there's anything wrong with it. There's a place for everybody in the world and in the military, certainly. I just want you guys. I want you guys in front of me. Like, if we're going to the battle and I have to go hide out in the whatever village, like, you're the guys I want in the front. Okay. So I want you guys carrying me out of the situation. But
Can I just add that it's just a matter of the rifle squad, like having it just doesn't gel in the rifle squad. You can tell, say a million times, like, oh, it's your job, it's your job, it's your job. You're still men and women. You're still men and women. And you're still going to have that attraction, and it distracts from the mission. And you can't have
distractions.
in a rifle platoon, in a rifle squad, where you have 4, 5, 6 girls, and you're going to have guys. You're just going to have that.
Guys are
Guys are just
guys.
going to always
Guys are
feel
guys.
like they have to protect. And,
Yeah.
you're going to have people in your platoon hooking up. It's like, you have enough headaches running a platoon in combat. And now you have to deal with another headache. And I had a FET team, which is the female engagement team, attached to me in Afghanistan.
Oh,
And I had to tell my guys, I will, can I'm gonna cut your testicles off if you guys do anything, because I just couldn't. But it was the ladies. I had to talk to the ladies too, and they were all like air wingers, and they weren't grunts, they weren't infantry, and we were training them, and they were good kids. They were good Marines, but I had to tell them, hey, you guys need to stay away from the Marines unless we're doing a patrol, because the female engagement teams, when we would go out and go into different villages and compounds and stuff like that, it was their job to try to talk to the Afghani women,
Yeah.
because they
Yeah, it
wouldn't
makes
talk to the
totally makes
guys.
sense. They weren't allowed to.
But
Yeah, it totally makes
it
sense.
just it was really, really tough, and they weren't even with my platoon. They just got attached to us for like a month and a half, and I had issues where
I'm
I
sure.
told my guys, I'm gonna cut them off. I'm gonna cut them off.
So now you're
And
just
let's,
juggling this whole scenario, like
yeah.
social atmosphere in a war situation. I mean, that's not
But it
good
was
for
both ways.
anybody.
It was both ways. It wasn't like,
Of
because
course.
there's a mutual attraction. So it's
Typically,
like, dude,
yeah.
we're in the middle of nowhere in combat, and I can't stay awake all the time, and I can't have.
You keep one eye open.
I can't. Yeah, exactly.
Listening for, yeah, that's what I
It
mean.
just
That
took
you guys
away
are
from the
there for,
fighting capacity of the
of
platoon.
course. Yeah, you guys have to have some serious concentration and focus, and that's just the bottom line. And you can't really have any extra distractions, certainly not placed there by the people you're working for. That seems counterintuitive to what your mission is supposed to be, which is extremely focused, right? So real quick though, I want you both for me right now. So Robert's going to appreciate this. I want you both to smile on camera for me right now. You especially, Leo. No, like a real, don't be like my boys, or I have to like make them do it. I'll have to cut off I have to threaten that as a mom for 20 years. There you go. That's what I'm talking about. You know why? Sometimes I forget my guests. Sometimes we start talking and we just like have conversation. And then later, this is so side, but later, I'll go to clip a thing out, and Robert's like, there's no pictures of you guys smiling together. So now that I have both of you guys on screen, I'm like, I'm just going to make them do it. I'm just going to ask people to do it. So I'll just get that hurdle over with. So good job. I got an excellent pick right there. We're going to bring up, okay, so now, Martin, I don't know if you have to be anywhere, but I'm just going to tell you that for the next 2 minutes, almost 3 minutes of this next section, you're going to want to stay on, or at least be on Facebook Live if you get off, which I sent you the link.
Tonight, our guests are a couple of DIs, drill instructors from the hit show Boot Camp on Fox. Leo McSweeney and Tony Rosenbaum are both here, and these guys are world champion yellers.
Get on your knees, scumbag!
You guys must love Full Metal Jacket. Yeah, I love that, and I love I love watching people get yelled at. I think we all do.
Screaming's for free.
So they say.
Yeah, giddy up.
How did they?
There's a lot of similarities. There's also a lot of differences.
When the drill instructors are on deck, when we're on deck and we're training them, it's total intensity.
You know what I like about the drill instructors is not only do they yell, but they yell in such close proximity to the other person's face. What is your major malfunction? And that kind of good stuff. What are your go-to lines?
There's a couple things, like Leo comes up with his own little isms, and what'd you have for breakfast?
People like
Craig?
freak show, yoo-hoo, and cuckoo.
Yeah,
that's like
That's
because you forget people's names. I forget people's names all the time.
I was surprised they take it so personally. I mean, you know what I mean?
It's hardcore training. I mean, it's Marine Corps training. We're both former Marine Corps drill instructors. And that's just how it goes. I mean, you're not there to be friends with anybody. People know what they're getting themselves into, and it's like you can watch a movie, but when you're there, you got the sky in your face, and it's like, wow.
And you don't have an option to get in the zone or not.
And the zone is?
Just a spirit and discipline, intensity, what we say you do, without question, without hesitation. And you give it to them physically, mentally, emotionally, you name it. We just give it to them hard.
This week, you're trying to screw around with their sleep a little bit.
Oh. That's where
sleep deprivation is good. Builds character.
And what is, I'm not talking about the show now, but 7 weeks?
13.
Oh, is it that?
Wow.
Okay, so I had a shortened clip, but I gave the wrong clips to Robert, so he's just going to play it out. But anyway, I took 11 minutes off the hour and a half love line. Do you remember that, Leo?
Yes.
Yeah, was that a little blast from the past for you?
Yes. I don't think I've ever heard that, to tell you the truth.
Oh, well, I'll send you the whole clip. I've got the whole
Oh,
show.
thank you.
But I actually clipped out all of your stuff, so I'll just send you the 11 minutes that I have of
Okay.
you, because you said some interesting stuff. We didn't even hear about it. But it was funny because I did not know we were going to talk about focus and all of that, and what you and it was Rosenbaum, I think his name
Yeah,
was, that you,
Tony.
yeah. Yeah, just laying down the law. Like, this is it. This is what's happening. This is what you're doing, my way or the highway, right?
Yes.
And so to your point, like, this is 2004, I think that clip was. So yeah, it's like hyper focus, I'm sure. And then, okay, so hold on a second. Before we do this, Robert, just a second. Hit me with number 14. Would you just the graphic before we go to 16? Can you do that for me? Okay, so these pictures?
Yes.
Okay, tell us about these.
That's actually me and Tony screaming at somebody who was on the show. But being a drill instructor is, man, I will tell you, you lose your voice and you're screaming all the time. And Tony and I actually, there was another guy named Dave on the show too. We were all drill instructors in MCRD. We really went all out, where, like, if you're yelling at somebody that hard, I probably almost passed out when we were screaming at somebody like that. I can't remember this guy's name right now, but those guys got full blast. And I can remember, so when I was a drill instructor, an actual drill instructor at MCRD, I loved chewing sunflower seeds. So I'd be yelling at recruits, and sunflower and the shells would come out of my mouth and it would stick to their faces. And I had one of the drill instructors come up to me one time and he's like, "Hey, come here, dog." I'm like, "What's up?" He goes, "I was just talking. I can't remember the kid's name." And he goes, "You just yelled at him, huh?" I went, "Yeah, how do you know?" He said he had sunflower seeds stuck on the side of his face.
Oh my
So
God.
there's
Oh my
definitely a
God.
lot of intensity there.
That's
Tony's a
crazy.
retired chief warrant officer, lives out in, man, I think he's in North Carolina now. Great Marine. But that was a great time. And that show, those people did get the full drill instructor and boot camp experience. There was nothing fake at all. But it's a reality show, but some reality shows are fake.
But back then,
That one,
reality was a little bit different than today's
yeah.
reality. Less scripted for sure. More like they really wanted the real stuff, right? I feel like it's so weird. So when I was researching you, stalking you really, they would call it, because you have a show. It's still kind of stalkery. But I ran across this stuff and I was like, wow, I think I watched that show. Like, I need to go, it's hard to find the show. I'll just tell you that it's really hard to find the show. What
Oh,
wasn't
okay.
hard to find, yeah, it's like on some weird, how you have like Paramount and whatever all the new channels are these days, not Netflix, not Hulu, but all the other weird small channels. It said it's on one of those channels. It's a free channel, but then when you go to source it, you actually can't get it. So that's probably good for you, because otherwise we would have 100% had that on today. But what we do have on today, so okay, so I ran across this. This was not easy to find either, I'm not gonna lie.
Don't tell me my arrest record. I got arrested 4 times before I joined the Marine Corps.
You did mention that to me that night, actually,
Yeah.
in San Diego, but we didn't really get into details of that. And because your bravery supersedes
Only
anything
drinking
you
and
did.
fighting and stuff like that.
Exactly.
Nothing real bad.
So I put that out of my mind. Yeah, young, dumb stuff, right? Just, yeah. So this last clip I have for you, I have a couple more questions for you. We'll do some other stuff, but I want to do your organization too. In fact, you know what? Before we do this last clip, because I don't even know if I can keep a straight face after this. Tell me, Leo, I mentioned earlier, you do work with, as commander of 1207, right? In Chula Vista. Real quick,
Yes.
tell me, what is that? Is that
It's
just like a
basically the
reserve?
same thing that Gunny Lopez was just talking about. He's the commandant and I'm the commandant. And believe me, and Martin even tell you this, it's these guys take it way too serious. Sometimes him and I have this conversation all the time, because basically the stuff that we should take serious, and we do, is like the Toys for Tots and scholarships for people that are going to the college, like military. So if it's somebody who's military, and I'm sure Martin's the same thing, and they're going to a college, after they've gotten out of the military, we'll give them a scholarship for $750,000, whatever, for books and finances and stuff like that. And we march in the St. Patrick's Day, the 4th of July parade in Coronado, and
I've been there
we do
for that.
some other things. We have a ball, and when I'm saying the seriousness of it, there's guys that are in the unit, and Martin, he deals with this too. Well, you got to bring them in off the ledge, where it's like, dude, you were a corporal in 1964, and now you just belong to the Marine Corps League. It's okay, have fun. You can have fun here. We're Marines. You don't have to be belt fed so much. Some guys just get really belt fed and wrapped around the axle about things, and it's like, guys, everybody, the average age of the guys in the Marine Corps League they're in their 70s, which is fine. I love them. But some of these guys fight like they're 15. Oh no, we need to do this, we need to do that. It's like, hey, this is all volunteer. Everybody have fun. And these guys, they get into it. I will say they get into it. It's probably the only thing that bothers me is that these guys like bicker with other Marine Corps leagues and other groups and stuff. But at the end of the day, it's because they want to do so much good. They see it as a competition.
Sure.
That they go above and beyond sometimes. And it's like, you can go above, but don't go beyond. It's like 70-year-old guys wanting to fight some other 70-year-old guy in a Marine Corps league somewhere. It's like,
once a Marine, always a Marine.
Yeah, exactly. So, same thing with Martin. We do all these, like I said, the scholarships and the Toys for Tots, which is great. We had so many toys this year. Oh man, we had like 2 box trucks full with toys. And then we have other people in the community, like the VFWs and the American Legion and stuff, that come on board with us down in Chula Vista that help with the Toys for Tots and hand them out. And we work with the Marines at Miramar. They're the ones that kind of store the toys for us. So it's a great league. We meet once a month. We meet at the Chula Vista Veterans Home, and we have guys that live at the Chula Vista Veterans Home that come and join our meetings. So it's actually pretty awesome.
Well, I was telling, Robert, who's my producer in the back, and he was at the gala that night. He was running around with the cameras. I don't know if you saw him, but he's in Chula Vista and he does all live stuff. Like his whole premise of his company is just live shots of everything happening in your town, in his hometown, and just to put it out, as it's happening in real time. So I'm sure, I'm speaking for him right now, but hey, Robert, don't you hear how this would be super cool? You probably like cover some of that maybe at the end of the year, some good stuff, like there's good stuff in the world happening, and it's nice. California is kind of a broken state. So I don't think people really think, I don't think people in general think this stuff is going on. You guys doing good things for the community. I just feel like they just
San Diego's a great city. San Diego's a great city because you have a large influence of military there. A lot of Marines, a lot of sailors, Air Force soldiers, but a lot of Marines and sailors and all the military bases that are down there. So it's kind of a good in between. Like it's not too right, it's not too left. It's right in between, and it's good. And Robert can come to our 4th of July parade in Coronado.
Yes, I'm sure Robert can hear you. So I haven't been to Coronado in years. I used to take my kids there every summer, and we did the 4th of July thing. We'd stay right there over Orange, right there. There was like a little hotel right on the corner there. Yeah, it really was. It's just beautiful. And the community they have there is really nice. I haven't been there in quite a long time now, but I'm assuming it's pretty similar. So it's a tight, small area, away from all the other LA stuff and all the other nonsense. But yeah, maybe Robert will. And maybe if he goes over there, maybe I'll come over there and, do a little shout out and cover it too, just for fun, just so I can get a
great
vacation,
parade.
An event vacation. That's what I do, event vacations. I don't take actual vacations.
You
So
can ride on the float with us. We have like a little
cool. There's a
float
float.
thing. Yeah.
Oh
Well,
my
all it is a
gosh.
U-Haul
Is that
trailer,
happening
but we
this
call
July
it a float.
4th? Wait, are you guys both on the float?
No,
I am doing mine in my town, and Leo's doing his. Yeah.
Oh, so you're in Chula Vista, right, Martin?
I'm in San Fernando.
Oh, San
and
Fernando.
the Valley area. Yeah, of
Leo?
Los Angeles.
You're in Chula Vista?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, cool. Huh. Well, is that happening this 4th of July?
Yes.
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 Okay, let's put some
I
thought
say
into
a
that.
float, but all it is a U-Haul trailer. but we
Oh,
put like,
what
we
is it,
put
decorated?
red, white, and blue
Decorated.
Oh, well, I
stickers
got
on it.
plenty of red. I'm all red, white, and blue. Like my literal entire closet is red, white, and blue. So that would fit right in. I would actually probably blend it, be more like camo than anything at that point. But yeah, like American camo. So but still have to think about it. That would be kind of fun. So maybe we will do that. And all right. So Robert was just getting ready while we were talking about this. I was making sure that he was queued up for our last clip. This is our last clip for Leo, I think. Yeah, it is. All right, ready, guys? Are you bracing yourself? Leo, are you bracing yourself? And we can't have you on screen, which I'm really bummed about, but it's okay. I'll see the reaction behind. Go ahead, Robert.
You're all off screen.
Are we going to be on when you put on?
Oh my, I love you. Ooh. I love you too, sweetheart. Now, get up! Can you hear me? Get up right now! I said wake up! Hurry up! Get up right now! Get up! Can you hear me?
Okay, that was for my benefit, totally 100%. That was just for me. And I know we're on a live show and I know there's other people watching, but that was actually personally for me, that little spot. I could see it. I got the laugh. It was either like, I told somebody I had that, right? And I'm like, he doesn't know I have it. And I don't know you. So I was like, he's either gonna think it's hilarious or he's gonna be.
I haven't seen that in a long time.
Yeah, so thank God you laughed because I don't want the Marines mad at me, that's for sure. And thank God you're in Boston though, even if you were mad, you couldn't come across. So so I feel safe. But had you seen that, Martin? Had you seen him in that starring role?
I've seen several. I had not seen that one, but I have seen several of them. Yes.
Oh, it's nice. I like when I source stuff nobody sees before. Not easy to do in 2025. But so anyway, that was pretty much like what you did, right? When you had your young guys. Did you do that actually fit, like as part of your job? Were you doing that, yelling at them, drill sergeant stuff? Not just the show. Like even when you had them, you did that,
When I was
right?
a drill instructor?
Well, like you, yeah, you were an actual drill instructor, not you
Sure.
were, I mean, I know you were a drill instructor. Oh, okay. So obviously you did do that. But was it like that? Is it like that?
Oh
Is it?
yeah.
Is
Oh
it?
yeah.
Yeah, not just
Yeah.
for show.
But add 80 more guys. You're screaming at
And
all
one
of
of
them.
you, only one of you?
No, there could be 3 or 4 drill instructors.
Gotcha.
Yeah, but a lot of times there's only one on deck at a time.
Gotcha. And those guys, are they scared of you?
They don't like you. I don't know about being scared. They probably are, but they definitely don't like you
Yeah. Do
until
you
the
yell,
end.
do you
Until
yell at
the end.
them just to motivate them at the beginning to get them moving along?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
So it's out
Yeah.
of love. So it's tough love.
Yeah. At the end of the day, you know, when these guys are getting ready to graduate, like a week or 2 weeks from graduation, I mean, the difference in physical and mental and spiritually, these guys are just motivated. I know that the term is worn out, but and at the end of the day, you know, when you graduate the recruits and you meet the moms and dads, and these guys are born again hard, to steal a saying from Full Metal Jacket. They're very they're guys you would want to serve with. They're Marines you would want to serve with, because everybody has to go through it. Everybody, there's not one Marine that has not gone to boot camp. Everybody has to go to boot camp, even when you come from another service.
Right.
So say you served in the Navy, or you served in the Coast Guard, or you served in the Army, you have to go to Marine boot camp. The other way around, you don't. If you were a Marine and you want to go into the Army or the Navy or Coast Guard or whatever after, you just go right into the
You're
fleet.
covered.
In the
You've done
Marines,
your.
you have to go to boot camp.
That's how important their training is, right? So that's pretty impressive. I mean, for anybody to withstand that for a minute, even in bed on a movie, like not fun. It's like somebody screaming at you. Like, I don't know. I'm sure, again, the girl factor crumbling, I'm sure, under the pressure. So Anyway, you guys, I could actually talk to you for a long time. And Robert, God bless him. We went so far over today. I do it, it's an hour, but I usually do like an hour and 20, hour and a half. We're way over that. I don't mind. That's how exciting my life is on a Friday. But Robert has a very busy life. I know he does, and he does a ton of other stuff. Probably tonight, actually, at something in Chula Vista or San Diego or somewhere happening that he's going to be covering. So I'm going to just have to say thanks to both of you and probably wrap it up. Robert, am I close to being right about any of this? As he's listening to me. So just again, honestly, for your service, you guys, that's number one, first and foremost. Can't thank you enough. I didn't know you then, but look what you were doing. You were protecting me when I was a little tiny kid. Well, probably not much younger than you, but pretty close. And then now you guys are still giving back to your communities in the ways you are. And I think it's really important that you stayed in it. And I know, Leo, you did 20 years of service to law enforcement, also another huge feat. And you did it in 20 years of when it wasn't always great. Well, I guess it's never really always great for law enforcement, no matter what the year is. But I came out of law enforcement. I started in, and I was actually going to go into it. I was a cadet explorer for 3 years in uniform. And in Oregon and in the 80s, actually. And so I didn't go into it for various reasons, but I know from being on that side of it in a patrol car, and I did a lot of rides, lots. Back then you could do them all the time. I did graveyard nonstop. It wasn't a place I really wanted to be permanently as a work industry, because you see what's happening in your community. It's really tough. So you guys have done the toughest stuff in the wars, overseas, not knowing anybody, strangers all around, bombs dropping, bullets flying literally. And then, you went on, Leo, to do that in the streets of LA. Maybe not so much in San Diego with bullets, but LA for sure. You guys have a rough life down there. I suspect sometime here and there. So just thanks for all of that. To you both.
Thank you.
Anything else, Leo,
Thank
you want
you.
to share? Is there anything else? I didn't ask any organizations. We don't have anything on the bottom of the screen that you want to shout out. Oh, did I lose them? Did I lose you? Oh no, you're still there. Yeah. Do you have anything you want to share before we let you go?
Nope. I'm just the Shamrock Pub in South Boston. I'll be in there in a couple minutes.
God. Okay, look out, Shamrock Pub. Leo McSweeney is en route, and he's going to be there soon. So everybody batten down your hatches. Is that a term, batten down your hatches? Is that a thing? I don't know what hatches are, but I know they're tacking them down. Okay. Anyway, great to have you guys. It's a great D-Day celebration. It's a tribute, of course. We talked about some like dicey stuff and things that happen in America and administratively, whatever. But overall, the theme here is you guys that, I'll say it again, thank them whenever you see them. Even if you don't know, sometimes I ask people if they're wearing a hat, like, did you serve? Like, even if they have a hat on, I'll say, did you serve? Especially if they're 70, 80 years old. Most often they have. So just ask and then just say thank you. And it might seem trivial or stupid even. I'm sure it does seem stupid to some people that you think a perfect stranger. But my God, if you didn't learn anything today other than this show, and you saw the black and white from D-Day and them storming the beaches and floating in the ocean, alone with an old school life vest that may not have kept you up with swells. You guys, come on. Please. Law enforcement, firemen, military, if you have a life to save, they're the ones saving it. And they're not going to ask you who you are, where you come from, whatever. They're not asking anything. They're just going to save you. And so anyway, I get emotional when I talk about it because I think it's just it's really special. It really is. And God, try not to get emotional, but it just makes me sad but warm to know that there's men out there like you still these days, 18-year-old guys that are just overseas and trying to make it back safe and sound with their mind intact and their body parts. And so give to who you can give to, the veterans organizations. I'll say it again, Combat Veterans for Congress, not maybe the one you want, Wounded Warriors. Some people say that the organizations you shouldn't give money to because they don't appropriate properly. I don't know if that's true or not, but listen, if you're giving it to Starbucks, Netflix, Google, and all the other, corporate raiders and thieves, the least you could do is throw somebody else $100 to see if maybe it'll help them, whether it's medically or however, Toys for Tots. Find a good organization that needs the help. Stop wasting your money on bullshit that gets you nowhere, except fatter with extra calories and a lot of toxins apparently in the products in the cups now. So anyway, that was my soapbox moment. You guys, thanks for hanging in there with me. I really appreciate it. Leo, go have your beers. Not
Thank
too
you.
many.
Thanks for
You're
having
good.
us.
Walk home. I'll talk to you both very soon.
Thank
I'm
you.
sure. You got it.
Thank
you
you.
guys. Appreciate it so much.
So long.
So long. Yeah, you guys. So here you guys. Met these guys a couple weeks ago, didn't know them at all. Here they are giving me their time, not just a minute or two. They give me 2 hours of their time. Actually, they've given me a couple weeks because I've been back and forth with them. I had them on coming a show or two ago, and then I couldn't do it. And then I just called them like, oops, sorry. 2 weeks later, can you do it? And they're both yes, even though Leo's traveling across the country, literally. He said he was working, but it sounds like he's working to get to the local watering hole more than he is fixing the ceiling. We should check back in on Leo, see if that ceiling is still intact, or when it is intact, we'll know that he actually put the work in. So his aunt will probably appreciate that. But anyway, that's how they are. So they serve whenever they can, and that's even just coming on to talk about what they did and what they're doing now. So thanks you guys so much. We're gonna wrap up as always, way late wrap up, long episode. But Carolyn Levitt still bringing it to us every single week with the MAGA Minute. Too much to go over for me because it's a laundry list of successes for the most part. Other than, of course, the breakup between Trump and Elon we witnessed publicly. This is like Baldoni and what's her name, the blonde girl. Very public breakup, crazy, ridiculous, childish for sure. Somebody should have been the adult in the room on that texting situation. But he's going to continue. Trump is for the big beautiful bill. He's just pushing that all day long. I don't think it's as great as he says. Personally, I've looked into it. I do find some serious problems with it, but Elon is just tweeting away right on his personal platform. And I guess the only thing we got to wait and see, it's unpredictable at this point, is whether or not Elon is going to get the platform and kick off his former partner permanently like Zuckerberg did a few years ago. So we'll see what happens there, but hopefully they'll mend fences and be adults once again and just work for the country and not be petty and childish, right? That's never a good thing. So Robert, I know you are so patient with me back there today too. If you want to bring up Carolyn now, let's do that.
It's the weekend, so it's time for another MAGA Minute. Let's roll through it. Consumer confidence surged in May with its biggest monthly jump in 4 years. U.S. new home sales jumped to its highest rate since 2022 as home prices continue to fall. And for the first time in the history of Rasmussen polling, a majority of respondents said the country is on the right track. In a huge win for the MAHA movement, Skittles agreed to remove titanium dioxide from their products as a result of the administration's hard work. The president signed several executive orders this week to restore the gold standard of science and reinvigorate our nuclear energy industry. President Trump also gave the commencement address at West Point, and on Memorial Day, he visited Arlington National Cemetery to pay tribute to the fallen heroes whose sacrifice has kept our nation free. The administration also sent a letter calling on all federal agencies to cancel their wasteful government contracts with Harvard University, as Harvard continues to engage in nonsensical race-based discrimination. The president hosted a press conference with Elon Musk to celebrate the rooting out of fraud, waste, and abuse in our government led by Doge. And the president traveled to the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania to announce a planned partnership between U.S. Steel and Nippon Steel that will create at least 70,000 jobs and equates to a $14 billion investment in Pennsylvania. That's it for this week's MAGA Minute. We'll see you next week as we get closer to passing the one big, beautiful bill.
Oh, there we go. So I'm from Pennsylvania. I'm from Allentown. So yay, steel. My dad worked at Bethlehem Steel back in the day before they closed down. And then we migrated west. So I'm glad to see they're bringing industry back to the places where all the hard workers are, who actually just really want to work and make a living for their families, right? It's a good living. And we want as much industry back in America as possible. All the other stuff you heard, I don't even have the list of it. But again, every week I think are they really going to have a laundry list to share again? And every week she does. So it seems like they're just moving forward, even with these little ridiculous hiccups in the love life of President Trump and Elon Musk. They're still getting things done, which is good to know, because it seemed like it was kind of a big hurdle for them and they were getting off track. So let's just keep watching. Next week we'll have more of the same. I'm sure there will be a lot more happening, a lot of broker deals happening. I think the countries are going to start coming to the table a little more rapidly now. And although it seems like it's slowing down, I don't think it is. I think they're just not talking about it because there's too much to share. And sometimes it's better to just keep it close to the vest, right? And not tell everybody what everybody else is getting. So that might be a tactic. It is almost 2:30, you guys. 2:22. Remember room 222? That was a show back in the day. So I will sign off now because I just want to say thank you. If you hung in there, I saw some friends online from Oregon popped on. Dawn Schween popped on. She's here in Arizona. You're going to see her around town if you live in Arizona, with American Majority, Ned Ryan's company. She works with them. With Tracy Ducharme, actually out here doing a lot of good stuff. But thank you guys for being here today on Friday. If it's your lunchtime or after your lunchtime, or you catch the show later, I really appreciate it. And also Robert, big shout out.
Weekend, so it's time for another MAGA Minute. Let's roll through.
Wait, I was just thanking Robert for his stellar back end. So that was just him testing me. But no, can't. Oh, and there's my pride flag. Oh, see, this is why Robert's doing this, because I forgot about my pride flag moment. And they are recapturing it. We started doing this when I did take our border back last year. And, the pride thing, the flag, the rainbow and all that. And we had our American flags as we do. In fact, the whole hood of my car until recently was an American flag, which it will be again. I just had to take it off because it had gotten damaged. And of course, you can't have damaged flags out there. So, but it's, June was Pride Month, whatever. I think they stopped it. I think he nixed it right now. But now I'm seeing a lot of my pride flags. It's a USA flag. We live in America. We have one flag. It's the one we should be raising and flying and saluting and paying tribute to all the time. Any other flags, great. Have them out, hang them in your garage, whatever you want to do. But in my neighborhood, where I live out in the country here in Phoenix, North Phoenix, everybody where I live has the USA flag, Marine flags, Army, Navy, all the services. Probably some Trump flags up there too, a couple F Biden flags as well. But that's the area I live in. So all my neighbors, total safe zone. I know it's happening out there and I know who I live next to. It's really important when you see the flag flying, probably have a good sense of who your neighbor is. I also have a big lit flag on the front of my fence line too. So do my neighbors actually, which I love seeing. So ever in doubt, when you're in trouble, you know which houses you can go to. That's a fact. So I want to thank Robert. You guys check him out on JData17 on Facebook and X. He's got lives coming up all the time, constantly. Audra, I have the Storm. He helps with her channel. She puts so much content out. I see it all the time. Check it out. The stuff happening in California is so important right now, and he's bringing all that to you live with all the agencies and organizations that he covers. So if you want to learn more about, I would say today's guests, but since they're not high profile online, certainly go to the organizations we mentioned. Combat Veterans for Congress .org is there. MyRidersUSA.net, who I sit on the board with here in Arizona. We always take donations. We give back every month. We donate back to a veteran organization in the Valley. Somebody puts somebody up, they nominate another organization. So we do that throughout the year. So the money we collect, some of it goes back in the kitty for other events, but then we push all of the rest of it back out to another veterans organization. So again, please give when you can and help those who deserve it the most, who already gave you their entire lives and their time. And I always say limbs, sometimes their mind, their family, certainly. So you owe them more than anybody, everything, honestly. And if you guys want to check out Patriot_Mom007, Instagram, Facebook, oh my gosh, I'm tired and it's been a long day. Truth, Rumble, YouTube, and then on X, it's PMom007. Please do follow, like, and share. At least share. If you don't want to follow me, just share, hit the share button. It's okay. Somebody else might want to follow me. It's cool. And it's not about the follow. It's about the resources. It's about hearing about things you don't hear about on the cycle of news, which is just a bunch of bullshit stuff that everybody says. And today wasn't so much a resource show. Sometimes I have links and we talk to a lot of, people who might have something you want to follow or do. This was just really a tribute day to Armed Forces Day, to Memorial Day. Now we are D-Day, and we have Flag Day coming up, you guys, in another 2 weeks on a Friday, I think, too. I'm excited about that. I'll flag it out a little bit more. I know I'm really light on the red, white, and blue stuff. I get it. I'll kick it up a notch, definitely. We've got the superhero shirt on. Thank your superheroes every single day in your community. If you're not knowing of any veterans, there's police everywhere, fire, rescue. They're literally walking amongst you every single day. If you see them at Circle K or the restaurant, please say thank you. They've got the gun on for a reason and you don't. And if something happened right then, guess who's pulling their gun, and they would protect you, even though they don't know your last name. So please, in that respect, always remember to get educated, get involved, even at your most local level, school board, city council, board of supervisors. If you don't know the challenges in your community, there's just no way you can positively affect them to help, of course, your family, your friends, your neighbors, your state, your county. It all plays a role in helping the country down the road. It starts small. General Flynn always says local action equals national impact. It couldn't be more true these days. It is a weaving across the country kind of thing. And there's so many bad people out there. The good people really have to work harder to stay connected and stay together in that mission. So voting's always coming up. We don't talk a lot about elections on here, but they're coming up. Vote your conscience. Of course, it's your vote. You get to do what you want. But try to remember when you're doing it, who is doing what now in office, who is going to El Salvador and meeting for picnics with convicted criminals, sex traffickers, wife beaters, and the like, who is trying to get them out of jail and back into the country. They're the people you do not want to vote for in the next election. Okay, just please don't do that. Please go for law and order. It's so important that we have it. You don't have to follow every single rule all the time, but the big ones, they're really important. They make a better community for us all. So next week, we're going to hear from William Wallace. He lives on the other side of the country, friend of mine. I don't see him very often, but he's got a story to tell I didn't know about. And I heard about it recently that happened to him on a personal level. So we're going to be interested to hear what he has to share. And other than that, happy D-Day, everyone. Have a great Friday, great weekend. Look forward to seeing you guys all here again on American Perspective with me, Noél Roberts, Patriot Mom 007, if you didn't know. And with that, Robert, I know you got a busy day, so take us out, please.